Well, since we're already behind, Barb,
Thank you.
take the wheel.
I'd like to set a land use hearing for Benjamin Robbie for Tuesday, February 9th at 9:15.
And make the motion that we set that land use hearing for February 9th at 9:15 a.m. Benjamin Robbie, correct?
Correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks. That's it.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
Sorry, but I just put a letter for that part.
Actually, is that something she can just
I would say,
do?
if you don't want to come over here for that little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that just,
I have the stuff, it's already in the
Yeah,
book.
that's
and
what I mean, I don't,
already on the agenda, but we're not coming here next week, are we? Or are
Yeah.
I
we?
think so.
We are? Okay,
yeah, because I have a meeting starting at 8:30 next week.
that's right.
Because Mark's
Right.
going to do
Okay.
the budget and stuff for Mark.
Okay. That's fine then. I don't mind coming over.
Okay.
Let's jump.
Depends if it's a nice day.
Are you going back? Do you want to give
Yes.
this to Rick Bramall for me?
Yes.
Just tell him they said go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we jump to number 4?
So moved.
And second,
All in favor
the minutes
of the minutes?
with the correction.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 corrections, right?
Yep, typo, and I had to add the code section.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Donna.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for allowing me to come this morning. Special request. Would it be better if I take my mask?
Yeah, you can when you're talking.
Okay, thank you. That's what's nice about a large room like this. I'm requesting the use of this room or one similar to it if you are in agreement. I'm what's called a tax counselor for the elderly through the Art Foundation. Jerry Krug also helps me. Vicki Holtz has in the past, but she's asked not to because of her daughter's health right now. So there's only the 2 of us. We help those who are low income on their taxes. But anyone can come in, but it's usually teenagers through the elderly ages. We have a lot of people who come in and take advantage of this service. It's free to those people. We've done as many as 400 tax returns. So I've been at the library, but my concern there is that they may close it because of the pandemic. If the cases go up, they automatically close. And I just don't want to take that risk because with the pandemic, we have all these special things we've got to do. We may not even be able to meet. Well, we can meet with the client, but not for very long. It's 15 minutes, and then we have them leave and then come back to pick up their finished tax return. So the year is going to be stressful. Last year was bad. This year's just as bad. But if I can have I would like to meet at least 2 days a week, if not 3, but it depends on whether I can find the help for that. Someone from Waterloo site has offered to come 1 day a week, but I'm not sure I want to take advantage of that because they're shorthanded too, because a lot of people don't want to work in person. We are allowed to work from home this year, or at least one person, and that's what Jerry wants to do. And in that case, I scan the documents, he does the tax return. It comes through our software then, and I then print it off and hand it and go through it with the tax payer. So I think that's the basics of what I'm requesting is help with this program.
Do you know what days or anything?
Not yet,
Okay.
until I go through the schedule with Nancy.
I mean, my concern, because we're using it for Tuesdays right
For
now.
Tuesdays,
Right.
We do have an online calendar that we share with all the county people. So normally it's kind of a first come, first serve. So if you do ahead of time or dates, then we can get it filled in, otherwise.
Yeah, well, no, I would set it up way ahead,
Okay.
between February and then April 15th, but things really slow down in
Mhm.
April.
Yeah.
But February is our really big month.
Well, and I know it's DHS is still working
Yeah.
from home too, so they don't
Oh,
have as
okay.
many, because a lot of times they'll come over here and use it for different things, or
Mhm.
Sarah, we just never know, so.
Do we have any rooms that are open
Yeah.
Right next door, don't we?
Oh, yeah. We're volunteers.
We do.
We can use that.
Smaller.
Yeah.
Well, but they're just probably meeting one-on-one.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be a better
Yeah.
option. It would avoid a lot of
You wouldn't have, you
issues.
wouldn't have to pick your papers up and everything. You could actually, that would be your
That
office.
would be marvelous.
Do you know which one we're talking about?
Just right next door, yes. Yeah. But yeah, I'd have a lot of equipment to carry in and out.
Yeah, that would be nice, then you can leave your printer and stuff, maybe. And
Yes, yes, that would.
there's a nice desk.
I would have to take my computer home with me, but the printer could stay.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a table out there in front of the offices where they could actually meet with their clients if need be, if it's, especially if it's more than just one and one. And there is an office area, you can actually shut the door.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe I should go see this room.
Dick will have keys, he'll let you in.
Okay, all right.
I think it'd work out very well. Good suggestion, Tracy. Yeah. So, probably need to take some sort of formal action as to that. Okay.
Well, why don't we let her look at it first?
And then stick your nose back in.
Yeah, that sounds like a winner.
Yeah.
You wanna look at it? Grab it. And-
Okay, let me put this back on. I'll see if I can grab him.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep.
And we'll stop over doing it, so
Okay,
you don't have to wait.
all right.
Thank you.
Forgot about that office too.
Anybody look at claims?
I have.
Have you, Gary?
And I had a couple of questions.
Can I give my folder? If you just need to look, follow along.
This is on page 1. Just a curiosity question, there was an insurance deductible of $1,000. Yeah, I realize that. What was that on that vehicle that was destroyed by the sheriff's office? Anything?
I know where it is. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
that would work, thank you. Page 2. About the middle of it, Hagen registration, Johnston Hy-Vee, $1,613.50. At Hy-Vee?
Let me look here.
That just didn't seem to compute, if you will.
Look at yours. Mine are by departments.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I don't think I got my lines off this way.
No, because that's conservation unless they have overlooked.
Thank you.
It's one of conservation's.
And while you're looking at that, I have another comment. This is on page 7. Under funds, it's got Rick Primer receiving $500 for a tenant's rent assistance. That should actually be Pam's Inc.
Do we have it under your social security number?
Better not have.
I wonder when they submitted the invoice, though, it probably said you.
And I didn't give anybody my social security.
No, but,
I'll check with Sarah.
yeah.
Because it did not go into any personal account. It went into the business account.
What do you think, Tracy? If you don't want the money, I'll split it.
There you go. Was that a motion? So those are the questions I had.
All right, yeah, we can ask Sarah, but I'll look into it before I print them quick.
Anybody have any other comments or questions?
Well, I'll wait for her to look that up.
Okay.
That room must either be good or bad. I've been over there a while.
Might take a little bit to get a hold of Dick.
I hear him out there.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Liz to look that up, but, do you wanna, oh, here comes.
Well, I think I can make it work. You don't, I need to use the entry area as well if there's 2 people, because otherwise the room's kind of small.
Mhm.
And,
If there's 2 people, meaning yourself and one other,
well,
or 2 people that and
we're
yourself?
supposed to have 2 people work at the same time, but this year that's not going to be possible. Well, we will be working at the same time. One will be at home working.
Sure.
I'm sorry, it's so confusing. Unless I can convince him to come in, but he does not want to be face to face with any of the clients.
What,
I can respect that.
I guess, I don't know what I know a little bit, but I don't know a lot. But if, well, there's nobody in this room, you can use that as your primary room. And then if you needed to use this room and there wasn't anybody in it, I'm sure that,
I don't see any issue.
Well, we probably could, but it's better just to stay in one room.
whatever.
But both offices are empty, Rick?
No.
No?
Historical preservation's on the other.
But they're not there that often.
They're not there very often.
What about EDG room? I don't think she comes over here very often.
And she's been working from home. Yeah. That would be the other option. The only thing is as long as we're in the shutdown mode, for lack of a better phrase, then that room would be available. If we open things back up, it probably would not be available. And I don't think she's gonna wanna change horses in the middle of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
If you can make that work, I think that would be the best. And like Gary said, if you need additional space, just drag things over here, but I got it.
I'd rather not.
And you can
Once you
use
set
that,
up, you just want to stay.
that common area there, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can bring a table. a small table. That's what I had to do at the library anyway.
And we're probably stop the table. If, just get, well, yeah, I was gonna say maybe Rick Ramo, but if Dick is probably the correct choice because he's here constantly. If he needs help, he can get a hold of one of the custodians.
Now, would I need a key or anything, or is Dick always here?
Well, he's usually here.
He should be here, but we can
This-
try to get the key for.
Yeah, he,
Okay, because that's another concern.
right.
But I would have everyone come in with,
Yeah, because we want to screen them.
Yes. You're gonna do this during normal
yes.
hours.
Yes.
So if you forgot your key, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you want a key, get ahold of the auditor's office.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Well, I have to go over there anyway, so, all right.
Do you have a key to get in the normal doors, or you
Actually,
just? come
2
through?
keys.
No,
Well,
I,
her second, the other gentleman's gonna work from home.
No, I'm talking about the actual doors to get in
No, I
the
don't.
building. Do you have that one?
no,
Okay,
I just have it to the pantry
okay.
But she's gonna, the
because I
south
volunteer
door,
there.
the
Yeah.
south door pantry, you mean? Or
I
is it-
have 2 keys. I think it may work. The one key does
Or you
work there,
come
but
from the
normally I
hall.
come through, I don't come through the west door, no,
You come through the main entrance.
generally,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, if you're not gonna do it, when's Dick here? What time does he start?
8?
Yeah, he's usually about 7:45.
So as long as she's here around that time, she can get in without an issue. But I'd get a key to the office.
Ben could program her up a
Yeah, Bob.
access key.
You'll have to explain.
The little box on the outside, so put a card in front of it,
Oh.
locks the door for you.
Yes, okay, I'm familiar with that from the other meetings I've been at here.
Yep, we can get you one of those.
Like
We
this.
He's got one
we
right
get you
there.
all set up.
Okay, all right. Well, we don't start until February 1st with any clients. But I had to start making appointments, and that was the issue. I've only got a couple weeks left.
Well, I make a motion that you utilize the volunteers' office space for your meeting of tax clients. And that's February through
February
April
1st through
April
April 15th, possibly.
Do I hear a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate it. And so will all the people who are going to be coming and taking part in the program.
If you hit any bumps in the road, you know that it's not working, I'll get back to
Okay, will do. Thank you.
it. Thank you.
Shall we finish up the claims or just?
Yeah, so that claims for Johnson Hy-Vee, it goes to the Academy mailing address, but it's for the meals for the Hy-Vee. That's what it had on the invoice.
Rather than registration.
Said to pay Johnson Hy-Vee, but it's the mailing address.
Meals for what?
The person that's going to the Hy-Vee.
Okay. So,
Yep,
which is understandable.
yep.
Yeah.
It was odd, but it's, yeah, it looks legit.
That's all I had.
Gary, you got anything?
So I'd move that we accept the claims.
Second?
Did you have questions?
No,
Okay.
you got mine, so.
Very good. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Back to yours. Rick's, your name is on the mortgage. Or the mortgage, but yours is on the address to mail to.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming I'll ask her which, because we have to every now and then, so one of them has to be.
But the
With
IRS,
the W-9, I know I'll be able to.
Yeah, then that's how we have it in the system.
Okay.
Private thing.
So, this, the W-9 being campaign, that's, I mean, I just figured it was just kind of a
Yep,
odd thing here. Once it hits the papers, I didn't want people thinking that I was getting rent assistance.
yourself. Times are hard.
Or double dipping from the county, you know?
Sheriff?
Ben, you're coming later with Myron, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, I didn't know why you were here already.
Yeah, no, you had IRBM committee appointment on earlier, so that's
Oh,
why.
well, we could wait and do it all at the same time.
It's fine, whatever you guys, I figured I'd take off and come back otherwise, so. However you wanna do it.
Why don't we do the sheriff and then jump on? Although you're gonna be here with,
Yeah, that's the only voice.
Yeah, maybe later on. Yeah, that's fine. I figured, I don't know if you guys just wanna do the weed commission appointment while we do the IRBM committee member appointment. I got the paper for it. It'd be
Makes
a
sense.
quick thing.
the sheriff was the time.
Right. Ron, go ahead and take it.
With board approval, I would like to move Dorothy Wild. She has started training from dispatch into the business office. We have about 2 years ago, we were gonna make that a full-time position in there. And then there was some personal things that came up for the person that wanted the job. And then other things took place, so we posted the job internally. And Dorothy was the only person that was interested. And I would like to transfer her into that position. She's been with us for I believe she's working on year 41. I'd like to transfer her wage and benefits and everything in this position.
So her wage will stay the same,
Yep.
and this will be by resolution.
In the future, would that affect her replacement as far as the starting wage? Because after 41 years, she's doing, I mean, she is built up.
Yes, whoever takes
in
her
compensation.
position in the dispatch will be
I'm-
paid under the union pay scale. And then, let's say she retires in several years, then that person would come in at under the union contract.
That's the question I had.
I just don't feel it's appropriate to transfer somebody after 40 years and not pay them the same.
I agree. And Dorothy definitely knows the ins and outs of the sheriff's
Yes.
office. So, and
So her training's
yeah.
very easy at this point.
So,
Do I have a motion?
unless there's other comments, I would make the motion.
Okay.
to
Second.
Move Dorothy to that position.
It's by resolution.
Pierce guy.
Seaman, aye.
And forever aye.
Thank you very much.
And then you also got something on here for,
Item 10, part-time jailer.
yeah,
Oh, Jerry Baskin. Was a full-time at the nuclear power plant in security, and he has expressed interest in working in the jail. We'd like to put him on part-time and get him going in there. We can always use part-time help in jail and dispatch.
I make the motion that you hire Jerry Baskin, part-time jailer,
Jerry Baskin Jr.
junior. Okay.
do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's nice that it's got background in security.
He worked as a,
Do you need this?
been quite a few years ago, he worked as a reserve number of years ago.
I will jump down to your quarterly report.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gary,
Gary, you seen him yet?
and that, the sheriff doesn't have to be here for that.
Nope. Nope. But,
You said you had to, item 7, change the amendment date
To the 26th, we've set it for the 19th last week.
for January 26th.
Yep, same time, I just couldn't get it in the start press in time. So it
See,
should be
there's inmates from other counties,
Wednesday,
whatever, yeah.
Fridays,
Never stop.
Tuesday.
We've had the same, pretty close to the same group of kids since this all started.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion on item 7 that we change the budget amendment date to January 26th.
okay,
And
Gary?
what time is that?
9:30.
9:30 a.m.
do I have a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 11 should be a fairly fast one. Appointment of Isaac Hawthorne to the Pioneer Cemetery Commission.
I'd make that motion that we appoint Isaac Hartthorne
I'm not real sure. I hope I spelled it
Okay.
right.
to the Pioneer Cemetery Commission.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Now, if we go to number 6, the appointments of the township, we should actually name them all off.
Yeah, I have a list, but I don't know, some of them, we have a vacancy in Fremont still. One.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
See you,
Sheriff.
Ron.
Good to see you.
Hey Ron, do you want to present next week your budget?
Sure.
Okay. I'll get you scheduled then.
Thank you.
No problem.
And you'll send out,
Tell me what time to be here.
You have it in there.
I get that, but you'll send out their budgets ahead of time so we can look at them.
You already have it though.
Is that for,
You have it in there.
oh, his new one?
Yep.
I don't know if you-
Yep, you have it.
Okay, good.
You should have a,
Whatever time you want, like,
Okay,
I'm not particular.
alrighty.
have a Fremont.
We have Carl Gerhold.
Yep. Mike Rocci. Yep.
How are you, ladies?
Christina and I looked yesterday and we were,
No,
Yeah. you-
we just appointed him probably in September or October of last year.
She might buy it.
she thought she looked on the minutes and didn't find it, but I thought we did too.
Yep, Mike Rocci. And then Dan Mossman.
And who?
Dan Mossman.
Alright, we can come back to these, but yeah,
Okay.
I'll look them up.
Okay.
You ready to do that, are you?
No, we're gonna come back to
This
it.
is Melody Snow, she's the new Benton Unlimited Director. She
Okay.
took Melissa Schwann's spot, right?
Yeah.
Out of 14.
Yes, Melody.
Yeah, and Andrew Ower said he's gonna join me here. I'm just interested in wanting to know if we can get lights, Christmas lights back up on the courthouse. I mean, I'm wanting to do a big push for the city of lights, given that we created active in a shame to come across that bridge and have a sign before you get to the bridge, city lit, city lights across the bridge, and it's dark. We need to, it used to years ago have,
They used to have them draped up on
Yeah.
the corners.
yeah, that was really nice, and it's like, I mean, how hard would it be to get that reinstated, to put those back up? Is that a possibility?
I think it was the city electrical guys that would come with the boom truck and help us put them up.
They used to help do the trees out front when we had to do.
Yep, because we, yeah, well, those have been gone, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe they used to come up, because I don't know if those hooks are still up there, because we've done some tuck pointing on the courthouse, there used to be like little places for them to, so we
But
probably
you
have
don't know
to,
if they're still
no,
there.
we probably have to talk to our janitors and then see if the
Okay.
city guys would be even willing to come and use their equipment, because we would have the equipment.
Yeah, see, and Andrew, he said he'd be willing to donate a lot of his time
Very
in getting wiring going and whatever might need to be put in. But yeah, he said that the city did not, well, is that having to do it?
The city is not.
Well, when they were doing before, the ones that actually hung the lights, and it was just weird to have that special burden. Yeah, it's a job. Yeah, it's I don't know, but,
How high is that corners? Would you guess, Tracy?
The top,
No, the
No,
corner.
the corners.
The third floor,
Third floor.
I mean, if we could go all the way up to top, that would be, I mean, I think that's what they used to have it, all the way
I think they did,
from
yes.
the.
I would say between 3 feet.
To the corner, and then it's on top. Okay, 34.
I'm
what
not sure.
How that-
I wouldn't have a problem with the county utilizing my bucket truck, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that with 34 foot they'll reach it. I think I need a 30 or 32.
Put a step ladder in your bucket.
There you go. And Tracy volunteered.
I don't know, Andrew's not here, he said he'd do a whole lot of stuff, and it's like, well, if you don't show up to the meeting, it's like, you get volunteer. So, yeah.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. Okay.
Hello there, Andrew. Where's the damn electric truck? Well, I got three. Not sure I got one tall enough though.
Yeah, so what I just was telling them that I was wanting to get,
Yeah.
do a real push on this Christmas lights, the city of lights, and getting that reinstated.
Yeah, we have a lot of comments on, about people, obviously history related. They all fondly remember the lights on the courthouse. So, yeah, it'd be cool, I think. It'd be real popular with the public. The last time I was up top, the outlets were still there. I know they've been disconnected, that used to feed them. They used to take a decent amount of power, but with LED lights now, you wouldn't be looking at near the amount of power. And I'd be happy to make sure the power is hooked up and available for them. And I assume we could raise money to actually buy the lights. Yeah. Yep. I don't think that'd be an issue. As far as installing them, that'd have to be, I believe, in the city, or whatever.
Do you think, from what I've heard here, the city wasn't wild about, the electrical department was not real thrilled about doing that?
I've never asked the question, but I assume that's why it stopped, was they got tired of doing it, but I really have never asked that question, why it did stop. Does anybody know? I've never heard officially.
I don't know if it stopped when the trees went down out front, because they were all together, but.
Yep.
Well, I sure don't have a problem with it, happening.
And going all the way up to the top of the dome, or?
Well,
Yeah, that's where the power's at, so yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how they get,
It might be something as simple as when the windows went in, how do you get out?
Well, there's a platform up there you can get out
Okay.
above the third floor.
Well, that's where the power's inside the,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I'm
you
sure
can
there's
actually
what-
step out.
inside the clock tower portion.
Yeah, that's where the outlets were.
Because that one, you can go out the window and walk around the ledge if you're willing to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's okay to look into,
Yeah.
I don't know how far, what you want us to do as far as.
Well, I was wanting to know, like, where do you even, like, where do we price these lights? Where do you guys order lights from? Where's?
I don't know that we order Christmas lights.
I think we've used
Well, you
Tyson's in
said
the past, like
Oh,
for our
okay.
Christmas tree lights. We've
So
always,
just-
because we have an account out there, and they
Okay.
won't charge
But
us
it's not
tax.
like a city municipality type
And
of.
where's that at?
Tyson's.
But you're gonna want something.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that's where
Yeah,
we're going now,
I
because we have
think
an
it'd take a
account.
little research
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, and even if you looked on Amazon, because the
Yep.
county's got an Amazon account, for example,
Yep.
you're just gonna have to look into it.
Right. I
I'd
didn't
sure
know
hate
there
to
was a-
see.
Because you want a
the
better
whole-
quality of light.
Right.
Right, and I'd hate to see a whole bunch of 25-foot lights put together.
That's right. That's
I mean,
right.
I figured that there was some sort of commercial lights out there that
Yep.
we, I just didn't know if there was something that you guys already, we did.
I think if you get on the internet, you'll be surprised.
Okay, so just go ahead and.
Great
price
time
it
of year to
up
buy them too.
there. That's right. We got a whole year to work on it.
And I wouldn't have an issue once they get the pricing,
Mhm.
maybe coming back to us, because I don't know who owned those lights.
I'm sure they're probably not as good anymore.
They were
Well,
those bigger bulbs
I
too, I
get
believe.
that, but,
Yeah.
I would anticipate it was owned by the county, the lights.
I assume
Good.
they
That's Jill.
furnish the lights and.
That's
And
what
Haley thought that the
She and
hooks
my
might
neighbor still
be
doing
there.
them.
No,
The hooks might still be.
Bossy would have been too.
could be. I don't know,
Uh,
at one time I was researching when the last time they're on there, but I never did follow up to it. It's been a long time.
it's been a while. Yeah, I know, since it put the candles and all the.
Yeah.
Kelly started the candles at least, I think somewhere around 96.
And I like the candles, I mean, that's, it's.
Or actually before that,
But
because I
we need
started in
more.
96. She
Sure.
started doing candles before that.
Well, I personally think you just get a little more information.
Okay.
cost
But
factor and
there's
whether
no
or not.
opposition necessary for the
Yeah.
desire to do
None
that?
here. None here. The only thing I would offer is, like, talk to the city manager here in town here. He might be able to direct you where the city buys their, Christmas decorations for their poles.
Right.
That'd be someplace I'd start. They should have, you know, a dealer that they've been buying from.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, is like where those all came from. Just out of curiosity, when did those snowflakes go up? How long ago?
Snowflakes?
On Main Street,
I don't know.
When they redid downtown.
Yeah, I think those went with the new streetlights.
Yeah, probably around
They used to be those red,
2001.
those red lamp things.
Probably around 2001, somewhere around there.
I was just
Before that
curious.
is the candy cane.
Yeah.
Alright.
Cool.
Yeah, as long as there's no opposition, we'll do a little legwork on it and come back.
Awesome, thank you.
And the evergreens are down. correct?
Yes, those two big ones are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, our duration took him down and all that.
Yeah.
You gonna replant them, by chance?
Should be awful small. But decorative.
Oh, we had a few replacements and then that one got broke. We
The one, yeah, no, we're down one, so
We're
we're
down another
excited.
two, I guess.
I don't know that we have a place to plug in, but, you know, you'll see a lot of regular trees with the trunks decorated. You know, and even on into the branches. et
I
cetera.
love that look, that's
Yeah,
good.
that is
Yeah,
cool.
it's really
The
nice.
city, when they did the evergreens out front, they put that, like they run, like they do when they're cruising that would use the courthouse lawn, they put that temporary.
Yeah, there's
box out.
those, we have a couple boxes in the
Yeah, that they
courthouse lawn.
put, that they would put out. I don't know if you'd be able to use them for that.
So,
Yeah, you do.
I would say knock yourselves out.
All right, perfect, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And you know, a little holiday spirit wouldn't hurt people coming into town. and
Well, I was
maybe
telling
have a few
Melanie,
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't get the big tree put up inside because everybody was so busy and nobody volunteered this year, so.
No, I get it,
Well, it's been kind of a item over the years.
Well, we have a couple, we have a really big artificial one that's bigger, and then we have a smaller one in there, so.
Alexa had hers out downstairs,
Yeah.
so that a lot of the people that came to the courthouse because they came to us and her, they got
Yeah.
to see that, so.
How long you been meeting here for?
Month or so, maybe on
Maybe
and
2
off.
months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just,
Month and a half.
just because?
Spacing out.
Because of the pandemic, you know, we need to have the social distancing.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right.
as long as you're not in here over 15 minutes, we're good.
That's all right. That's all right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
Bye-bye. Thank you, bye.
I don't think any formal action has been taken on that, so.
No, they're just investigating anyway.
That's what I thought.
Let's see, I could do
Is that
that.
gonna wait for,
I mean, it's up to you guys. Like I said, the only reason I came in early was just the committee appointment was on early, so I was gonna talk through that with you. Or we can wait and do it when I come back in too. It's whatever you guys wanna do.
sure doesn't bother me either way.
Well, let's jump on 12 then.
On item 12.
Yep. Appointment of IVRM committee member.
So when I called in last week, I told you I hadn't talked with Kathy Chamberlain yet. I called and talked with her last week and she expressed interest in staying on the committee, so with you guys' approval, I'd like to reappoint her to the committee.
I think I had her mentioned in the minutes last time, because didn't we talk about her?
I think
We did
approve Zach Carpenter.
on to see if she,
Because I listed her in the minutes last week as
You did.
appointing, reappointing her. But
so
we're
did
good?
we
Yeah,
already?
Okay.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I was under the assumption that we appointed Zach and Wayne, and we were waiting on.
I thought we appointed Zach and Wayne and then,
So we just mentioned, well, if you look in my minutes, I think I had her name. Do I need to tweak that then?
I don't.
Either way is probably, I mean, she's,
Okay.
we were just gonna make sure that she
Okay.
wanted to.
I'll leave it as is then, because I already sent it to the papers.
Okay, and I did check, I think I mentioned to you guys that I do have a committee member that most likely will be dropping off this year, when he moves outside of the county, and I did talk to, the person that I wanted to replace him with, and he sent me an application already, so I'll probably send that to you, Julie, so you got it, and I guess whenever we wanna, you know,
So
that.
then we'll have it when we need to appoint that one.
Yeah, and then we'll just application will
Do you want any action to reiterate that Kathy Chamberlain is on that?
I believe I would.
That's what you're fine.
Sure,
Yeah, so
I believe so.
I think you have a motion, so that's that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go, it's official.
And
All right.
then, do you guys wanna do the weed commission appointment really quick?
I think that would be prudent.
Okay. Assuming that you want to appoint me as
We need
weed
a-
commissioner,
Yeah.
I was lying, just in case. Yeah, I just need the chair to sign one of these. It's a form I have to send into the state every year, just saying that I'm the weed commissioner.
So I make a motion that we appoint Benjamin Lee Bonner as Benton County Weed Commissioner.
Do we have?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 There you go, Ben.
Thanks.
You're in it again.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Actually, this is his first time at it, official, isn't it?
What's that?
It's your first official.
Well, I've been the weed commissioner since 2014, just,
Okay,
this will be the first, time I'm,
separate department.
yeah,
Okay.
so,
You gonna,
same capacity, just different.
is he gonna have any input on item number 21?
He will come back. Or he'll stay.
Yeah, I'll probably go, I've got some stuff I need to print out for you guys,
Yeah.
so I'll probably come back right
Okay.
around that time, so.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, we'll see you in a bit. Do I need to do anything special with that getting out?
Wait until the lights green on top,
Oh,
then grab the
okay.
handle quick.
Cool. All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Alright, see you, Ben.
So I did reach out to Jill. She said that the lights were too heavy and causing damage to the building when they were anchored, so that's kind of why we stopped doing it. But the lights, the county bought, the city provided the electricity for free. But then, I don't know if they're one or two maybe on our service. I don't know how that works, but.
Well, if
Lights
you go to,
might be lighter now.
with LED, I would think it'd be a lot lighter, very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the lights were purchased to the city municipal, and then they got the better deal and charged us back.
Cool.
Okay.
Is there a way that you could pass that information on to Melody via email? Okay. Then we should have it.
But yeah, I think I'll talk to the city.
Alright. Shall we go to the,
Item 9, I'd make a motion that we
Okay.
approve the sheriff's quarterly report.
do I have a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll go to number 6, the appointment of the township trustees.
Where do you want this initial? Here?
On
Front,
the back, because we folded in three.
back of the front one, or back of all?
Back to the all, yeah. It's Melinda. So, hold on.
Ooh, I didn't see that one.
Melinda's timed on there.
Yeah.
You want to do Melinda first?
Yep. Excuse me, Melinda.
So, I gave you guys her treasurer budget.
Doing budget or annual report?
Whatever you
Oh,
want to do
and
first.
the-
I just got you to all of them.
Here's the budget, I help me do that. Okay, here's my annual report. I had to do a correction for June, the one I submitted in June, because I put the investments in the wrong spot. It didn't change the bottom line of anything, I just had that. That's the correct one.
And did you say we do have to republish
Yeah,
that?
Kelly said republish it.
So you want to
with
scan
corrections.
that paper or do you want me to?
I think you did it.
So it's this one is the
Yeah,
correction?
the top one says corrected on it, and then that's my next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'll need to sign both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it to Tracy, because I'll have to sign it. And then There's a copy if you want.
Okay.
panicked when I saw that I didn't put the investments in right, but Kelly said it was easy fix, so. The investments did change some because I have $1 million I took out of CDs and the rates were so bad. They're in our checking account at Walford because I could get a higher rate in checking account than I could the CD.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So they're sitting there right now, but I keep watching the rates because I'm hoping to invest them. Because the rates are really, really bad. Right now.
So you gotta pay them to take it?
Yeah. I couldn't see getting 0.3 on $1 million worth of CDs when I could get, if I put it in our checking account, we were getting almost 0.7, so. Every little bit helps.
I agree that those are not real good, but on the other side of the coin, you know, consumer loans and home mortgage rates are all much lower.
Mhm.
And so it kind of,
They go hand in hand.
yeah, it doesn't help the county with the investments, but it sure helps John Q. Public.
Mhm.
So,
It's there for now, but I keep watching because I'm hoping
Sure.
if I can get them up to close to what the checking was, I'll get them invested.
So do I have a motion?
to approve her semi-annual report?
Correct.
Yes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Matt, is that your proven or corrected one, two, all in one?
Yes.
Yes.
You want these two signed?
Yeah, because then I'll send it to the paper. Okay.
Do I have the 16?
Yes, I am. Good, thanks, Linda.
Whoops. And I'll give you the proof of pub. The proof of pub, I'll give you that.
Okay, Melinda,
Okay.
can we do your treasurer budget proposal?
Okay. I really didn't change too much other than the wages and the insurance stuff. If I keep everything else pretty much the same. If I increase anything, I usually took away from something else, so. Trying to keep it. There were a few things from Belle Plaine that we had with driver's license that I was able to take out because we don't have that expense anymore for the phones and internet.
Are you hearing anything about that anymore?
Other than when the little old ladies that I used to see every week send me notes that they missed.
This is what I kind of, what am I missing here?
Yeah, but that's right, because it's a new year request.
Okay.
I have to
And
do
then
it that way
here's-
because here's the current budget,
Yeah,
That's her year-to-date activity when I ran that.
Okay.
That's her re-estimating where she's thinking where we're gonna be at the end of this fiscal year, and then that's what she's asking for next.
Sweet, thank you. The dates are different on a lot of these, the top part there.
Well, it should be all through December 31st. At the date I run them down here could change the year-to-date totals though.
Some of these are 131.
Kind of the period we're in, or when I ran.
All right, thank you.
I think I submitted, I haven't submitted to you, but.
But when I imported them in and ran the reports could be different.
Yeah.
And then I give each department, because Myron and I found some yesterday, like I give these back to every department head so they look through and make sure it's imported
Well, I
correctly.
did, yeah, you did, when I remember, the one you
Yep.
sent me, I had figured Joy's wages wrong. I figured them more than what they were supposed to be.
So I think, I mean, this
Yeah.
should be the up-to-date one, hopefully.
And you never sent me that one back, so.
Okay. It was just hers that we changed, that was.
Yeah, everything else was the same. And they're on percentage in there.
So how long have you been in this job now?
Officially,
Yeah,
Well, I took over April 7th. 9 months.
getting a little more comfortable with it?
Yeah, there's still some things that I haven't had to deal with yet, so like tax sale, that's one thing. I gotta do some more research how to do that. But we're doing those online this year, so I don't have to do it with every company. But yeah, for the most part, it's getting better every day. I like a lot of it. So.
It's good that you like it, that's for sure.
Phone wouldn't ring all the time, it'd be even better.
Maybe you should put something in, because that's the most thing we're hearing about is your phone.
Yesterday it was constant. We were all on the phone. We were down 2 people and we were all on the phone and it was still ringing in like it did this summer. It was,
So does it leave a message, does it let them leave a message
they
now?
can.
Okay.
It's just, a lot of them don't. They keep calling, they just call back because they want to talk to somebody right away.
Did the phone situation get better here?
It- Yeah.
They lose some of the lines then, so there
I
ain't,
hope. Well, except yesterday it didn't seem like it, but yeah, they had it limited for a while.
So I think that's why when people call and they say you guys aren't answering or picking up, but it's, if the lines are full, that's why I thought maybe you'd change your
Yeah.
voicemail.
No, our lines are just full. I mean, if everybody's on the phone and it's still ringing in,
There's nothing you can do.
yeah, and then they'll ring in and you're gonna put somebody on hold, we've only got 2 hold spots. So you can't say just can I put you on hold for a minute if there are hold spots.
So if, because I had somebody ask me the other day, they come up to our office, if they walk up to the door and don't have an appointment, do you actually make them go back to their vehicle and call, or can they just stop into your office and ask and set an appointment? Because they said they got sent back to their vehicle.
Well, that's security.
Okay, well, you might want to change that, because people are not happy, especially in the winter. They don't want to walk back to their car and
Yeah, a lot
call.
of times, I'm okay if they come in and, if
Maybe-
we're not busy, a lot of times.
I would put a sign up, because I think we've had a few complaints too about that.
yeah, but that's just people walking up.
But then they get sent back to their car, and then, I mean, when
Okay,
they're right
so you
there, they
don't-
want to be able to ask if they can make an appointment. They're already
Yeah,
right
and they can
there.
come in and make an appointment.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
That's where
Okay,
they're asking to
So
do.
that seems contrary to what we've got going on though with the courthouse.
Well, it's appointment only, but what they're saying is they're walking up and they're thinking they're gonna come make an appointment, and they send them back to their car after they made the effort to come to the door to make an appointment.
Unless they can take them right then and there. I mean,
I don't know.
you know.
I'm just relaying what I've been getting
I
complaints
know
on.
and it's the phone call thing and we still get them. I got text message
Yeah.
last week, you know, that.
Because the auditor is in the first in the phone book.
We can't open the courthouse. Yeah, well,
And unfortunately, it's our office that affect, I mean,
Yeah.
it's because we have so many people. And we had a guy in there the other day, and he says, I don't understand why you're not open, and Joyce says, well, I heard her explain it, she explained it very well, she says, okay, you see how we have the dots on the floor? He's like, yeah, we can have one person at each dot. He goes, okay, she goes, where are we supposed to put all the other people, because, you know, our office gets full? He goes, well, just line them up in the hallway. Well, he goes, I'll go put the dots on the hallway floors for you. And we're like, but still, you can only have so many out there. It just depends on the time of the year.
right, right. And so I understand why security, if they don't have an appointment, go make one. I understand that, you know, and so that's why they're being turned away, that he's doing his job. And so unless you guys want to change things, like open the courthouse, I don't know how you're gonna do that.
They were just, there was 2 people I've heard from, they just want to be able to walk in there.
Walk in and make an appointment.
Because they had to go
However, if
to
I'm here,
another,
why can't I buy my license?
well, they were in another office and they wanted to make an appointment, but they made them go out and call, and that just upset that person.
Oh, if they're in the recorder's office and need to
Yeah.
have to make an appointment.
One of them was that, one of them actually.
I don't
was-
have a problem if they're walking out and say, hey, can I?
Yeah, we did, because we stopped that. As a board, we stopped that. You go to your appointment and you don't wander to other offices. That's exactly what we did. You know, you either gotta stick by it or change the whole thing.
That's what I think
You're
maybe
gonna
just
get people
readjust it a
bitching,
bit.
yeah, and we all get it. So, we're not immune to the grumbles. I just don't know how you're gonna tell security, yeah, but they just wanna make an appointment, and they're already in here. No, that's not
I
gonna
was
work.
just asked to relay.
I know, but, you know, it's toughy. So, I'm not in favor of just letting them come in and make an appointment. Want to make an appointment? Call. And yeah, how many times you tried calling an office and had to call again because lines are busy? It's frustrating. Or call Gary and his voicemail's full, he can't leave a message. You know, and it's not that
Gary,
way.
are you
It's
guilty
not
of doing
way.
that?
They're picking on him.
Is my voicemail full?
No. But
Well, we're gonna have to get it full.
I'm sure we could probably direct calls. Okay.
Morning.
Hello. Well, unless I'm reading this all wrong, your requested general supplement is, 685,440.67 for your 21-22. Sure. Okay. And that you were,
685,000.
yeah, and you were at 708, is that correct?
Yes, that one did go down, I remember that.
Okay,
Yes.
on that one.
Is that an insurance, that's usually the withholding from insurance.
Okay.
Because Alex doesn't take insurance, but I didn't have it figured in case she does, but, we lost, you know, a whole,
So, yeah, on those, I always tell department heads too to be careful, because if they have a change in, you know, any life event, they can still request to be on ours. So they didn't have
Well,
to.
Alex just talked about, she did ask me about maybe going on it in the future.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
next year, so, but she came back after I did it and says, I'm gonna stay on Dad's, cause she's.
Yeah, that's what my kids did.
Mhm.
Till they're 26, right?
Yeah.
Plus, it probably doesn't, the county insurance would be at her expense, her participation, or maybe.
And
Dad's not
Dad's paying for hers.
So I have 2 boys,
Oh,
so,
right.
I mean, college boys are mine, but they pay their own
Okay.
pay.
Yeah, that one area did go down, I remember seeing that.
I was just making sure, numbers really, well, my age, everything's kind of small.
These are small reports, I don't know. I don't think we could blow them up. We would try to, it'll screw up the landscape of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I read them pretty good, but I can read the small stuff that's the far.
I didn't have any other questions.
You think the postage will stay the same then?
Well, it's
Right
only,
now, because I left it there because I didn't know what to do, because they're not having any big elections, but.
I thought you had about a $500 increase.
Yeah, it was $500.
My elections postage is on my own though.
Oh, yeah, it is. Well, yeah, I did put that, I don't know why I increased it, because I wasn't sure, because we mail out so much.
You put the same, she put 20,000 in again.
Did I?
That's what you
Yeah.
had. But you're already at 17,908.
But that, yeah, but I got my Pitney Bowes statements since you guys have paid in, because what happens is I pay it all out, and then as they pay their part, I get credited back to Pitney Bowes.
So the only way is if you're.
I'm not gonna be over, I know I won't be over, but we mail out a lot, probably twice as much stuff now with the courthouse.
Because each department budgets for their own postage, but we use her machine and pay her back.
Mhm.
Okay, where'd I miss the 20,000? Because postage and mailing is 8,000.
Page one of 5,
It would be,
It's
on
like
the
the
treasurer's
8 line down.
expense.
Up there, okay.
this is
All right.
on a bus and motor vehicle. and
Okay,
stuff.
that's the same. So
See, that's what I was looking at.
between the two. Okay.
19, it was high. 19 and 20, 18, 19 was higher than you budgeted.
Yeah.
I think that's why I looked at that and so I just left it. I'm like, maybe this year we won't.
Did you pay mail services too when you,
Yes,
Send the tax statements
we pay out for, the registration reminders that go out. And, you know, we have that every month. And plus, like I said, we were mailing out twice as much stuff as we were. So I was really kind of afraid to lower it because I don't know what's gonna happen in the next years.
well, especially you're mailing out more too, because people aren't in person doing it.
Yeah.
And the mail postage is going up and there's an increase.
Think you need to adjust that?
No, I'll be okay.
Okay.
I think I left enough. I think I left it in there where it should be. Well, because we don't have the, you know, I don't see.
So why are there 2 line items for postage and mailing?
Because she's got different functioning, like if you look at her numbers.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the
So 9020 is motor vehicle, isn't it? And then your other, or spices or
8100 is motor vehicle,
Yeah.
9020 is like the tax
stuff.
area.
Yeah, so it depends on what area.
That
she's
one
got.
I did increase because
Yeah,
postage to mail
fine.
out the tax statements last year had gone up. And I know with postage going up now, I was trying to
Get it up there.
justify a little bit, see if it was okay. That one I raised, I think maybe, that might be the one I raised 500.
Yeah, you went 700 to 8,000 on that one.
Just because I knew,
You can look at this one if you'd rather have one. If you don't have one with you.
I didn't, I printed it off, and it printed my column, part of my column's blank. It's like, okay. I lowered our wages for part-time help, temporary help, just because I don't really anticipate using it, but I left some of it there because you never know what happens.
Temporary, you still have
Did
30,
I leave 30?
30,000 in there.
Oh.
Actually, let's see, if this is the one that we probably got to switch around. Because, let me look at your last one. Because it was just Joe's that we switched, right? Or tweaked, in the last one you sent me.
9020 is the tax side.
9020 is the tax one.
It would be a license,
No, driver's license is 8101.
okay, driver's license.
Yeah. The 9020 is the tax area, administration area, the rows and I are what is.
sheet should have an amount in that, that second line on the first page.
For the clerks.
Yeah, well, it's the, yeah, so I'm not, because you don't have any clerks, so that's why you took that one out.
Mhm.
So I did get this one corrected, so then we bumped the first one up, okay.
Yes.
It just looked funny, all of a sudden it stood out because it was blank.
Yeah, because everybody's classified now as.
But yeah, you have that temporary 30,000 still there. Which could cushion any of those other line items.
Yeah, and then some, then I wanted to leave some money there because in case Kelly has to come help me with anything, which we've done pretty good lately, but she's usually willing to help, and I did pay her for helping and all that.
I think you said you went about a 3% increase.
I did 3% because I didn't know what to do.
Based on experience, that's what's been happening.
Well, I got some emails from some other counties that some of them have been approved already by the supervisors and some haven't. There's some counties that their comp boards asked for huge wage
I know, I
raises,
saw
and then
that.
some of them got approved, and I'm like, wow.
One county got 14%, I don't remember which one that was.
I was like, wow, that's a big, even 6.9 was another county. I thought that was high.
Any questions, Gary?
I'll send you this new one to make sure we got
Really
the
no.
right one that we're looking at right now.
That would be great. I didn't
Rick?
have that.
I'm good.
Thanks, Melinda.
So,
I'll do a separate expenses and other one, yeah.
Keep up the good work, Jim.
Okay, thank you. I try not to make people mad.
There's always gonna be those
Yeah.
people.
It just happens.
some people are mad before they get to your office.
Yeah, they are. Before they call.
Tony, we
Yes.
let you continue on.
Let's say I just increased, I did the 3% raise as well, just because that's, like you said, more. Overall, looks like it went down about 12,000. The only one that really went up substantially was my funeral services. We did, I think about 4 this year. We're usually only budgeted for 2. And I know Sarah said that they didn't have any, which shocked me because I felt like I was just getting hammered with them. But my thought was a lot of my Vietnam era gentlemen experienced a lot of health issues, and it was a lot of that age range of what I was experiencing. I'm like, well, it's only probably gonna get worse. I mean, Vietnam was such a long conflict, but it's just gonna carry on and get worse. So I did increase that one, just by an extra funeral. But other than that, nothing too crazy.
I got one question for you. Page 1,
Mhm.
fourth one from the bottom, where it says utility payments. That's in your budget for the people that need a little help?
Assistance, yes.
That's what I
Yep,
thought.
Not for mine,
Yep,
yep.
that's what I thought.
Do you not think with the pandemic that you're gonna need more, or at least the equivalent to last year's budget with your rent and utility assistance?
Well, so when everything kind of hit the fan, it was right at the time Haley had, sent out the email, like, if you guys need to change, now's the time to do it. And I had reviewed our budget at that time because my commissioners and I we had fully anticipated to get hit hard because of that exact thing. And, we still had a really good cushion at that time, so we decided not to mess with it. And we have not gotten hit like we thought we would. We have had more assistance requests in the derecho than COVID related. We've had a couple COVID related. But even those were ones that have had assistance from us in the past. So it's, I've routinely helped them here and there anyway. So it was COVID, but not at the same time. But we got a lot of requests from most of the derecho. Seem to impact people locally more.
Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, has to go with their funeral services. You said you went, figure 4, is that correct, or last year? You had
No, we assisted with about 4 of them this year.
Okay.
And so I just increased it 1 to just
Okay, so you went
kind of
3.
even it out, I guess, yeah.
Okay, there's a kind of an average.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
On the care of graves,
Yes.
2018-19, you had 4155. And obviously, well, year-to-date activity is 565. Why was it so high back then?
It is up to the caretakers or the association to send in. Every year they have to send in a list of veterans who don't have perpetual care. And then we can pay $5 per veteran to help with care. So sometimes they're really good at sending them in and sometimes,
Not so good.
yeah.
And you have a cutoff date on that too, to be sent in, correct? No?
Well, just, once a year.
Okay,
I don't.
okay.
Anyway. I just notate when they requested last time to make sure it's not within the same.
With your year-to-date activity, which is almost a third of what your budget, for 2021 was, you anticipate that is down simply, your activity year-to-date, down because of the pandemic?
It is actually.
Okay. And trust me, I'm good with you not spending money, don't take it wrong. I just wanna make sure that you're, getting the assistance needed to the veterans.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, there was even one, I think it was April. We didn't have any requests. We were so puzzled. I even put stuff in the paper, maybe people thought we were totally closed or, and for the
Well,
pandemic was.
and I understand that when you're working from home, it's not as accessible. I get that. And so,
Well, you know, they
Kinda
have to
curious
do,
as to
yeah, when
why
I
the heck
did
you
it,
don't have-
working from home, people would call me and I mean, they have to send in like if it's utility, they have to send in a copy of that.
Right,
Or I just mailed them out a voucher, we just did it all through the mail. But really, it was the derecho that people were needing help
but,
with.
first page, veteran grave markers, you had 700 in last year's budget, 700 in this year's budget, yet year-to-date, you're at 0. And so, that's got nothing to do with pandemic.
No, well, cause
It's just-
trying to think, what I'm trying to do with the markers is I load up on them. I used to do it more.
But
Frequent
that's fine,
orders.
again, I'm not yipping because you're not spending money, don't take it wrong, I just want to make sure that we're not shortchanging those veterans. If we
No.
know that assistance is out there, so,
Yep.
okay, all right. Pretty well answered mine.
Gary, got any?
Oh, she's answered mine.
Have you heard much about for the shots for the veterans? Have they relayed much to you yet?
Iowa City has started,
Okay.
a week ago Wednesday.
Okay,
They're doing it, of course, by level of concern, first. Right now, only Iowa City is. They are gonna try to get it to the C-Box, like in Cedar Rapids, Waterloo clinics. As of now, I haven't heard that they've sent it out to those, but they are starting. And I've had a couple veterans call and ask.
okay.
I presume most of them will fall either in age categories and,
Age,
health conditions, et cetera.
well, again, like Vietnam guys exposed to Agent Orange, a lot of the presumptive issues that Agent Orange causes, that's the ones they're worried about with COVID. So,
Because that's in their lungs, isn't it? The Agent Orange, does that affect their lungs?
more heart, diabetes, those kind of things. Not as much respiratory.
No.
So, thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Is Lexi gonna come for the recorder budget, or she is?
Yeah.
We'll jump
So,
around.
do you
How
want
about-
to do the medical examiners?
Yes.
Okay. So I did talk to Brian. There was a couple that are not going to be reappointed, so I'll just name off the ones. He's willing to still be the medical examiner, Brian Meeker. And the assistants would be Dan Johnson, Elena Johnson, Tyler Hinkle, Matt Foltz, Matthew Anderson, and Braxton Morrison.
Okay.
They're already currently all in there, so.
They're all in there?
If you reappoint those, they're good for 2 years.
For how many years? Two?
2-year term.
Okay,
So moved.
Okay.
And seconded.
okay. All in,
And that's on both of them for medical examiner.
For all the
and
investigators. Do it all in one.
Motion was. Sweet.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 6 with the township. Figure that
Try
out.
it again?
Yeah, so I looked up Fremont, Tracy, and I have. We have Andrew Jones,
Yep,
Daniel Massman, and Carl
Yep.
Gerald. I still
Yep.
have one that's vacant that says in here.
Mike Rocci, we appointed him.
Let me look in a minute to make sure. Okay, so,
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. He's been attending the meetings even.
and when did we do him? That was after you, or that was when Tom got?
No, that was not for Tom. That was for, the guy that ran the Republican,
Okay.
college professor.
So it's Dan Rothschild? Okay. So anyway.
Mike Rocci.
Mike Rocci. So we need to do the appointments. These are the townships that voted on to be appointed by the board rather than being on the ballot. So Cedar Township, Fremont, Homer, Kane, Monroe, and Union.
Yep.
So if you're in agreement, Cedar Township, Steve Runyon and Paul Zander would be the ones that are up. Fremont, Carl Gerhold, and then it would be the
Mike Ratchie.
Mike Rath, because he filled the vacancy before.
Yep,
It's Rathje.
yep.
Okay. Homer Township would be Dale Seek and Lindsay Staten. Kane would be Todd Hennings, Jay Wilson. Monroe, Mike Knupp and Mark Katouche. Union Township would be Paula Dennison and Jeff Kreminga. So if you guys are still okay with those, we'll just reappoint those and then,
You haven't heard otherwise, right?
no,
Okay,
nobody said no.
okay.
We tell them it's till death do us part.
Appoint those officials as she read off
Okay.
for Cedar, Fremont, Homer, Kane, Monroe, and Union Townships.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I had a note here on, we have to do the landfill commission stuff too, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So, have you talked to anybody? You want me to put that on next week or
Well, I'm sure they all went on.
the landfill? I'm just going over stuff that we didn't have when I was
See,
updating the directory.
that was the one question they asked me here or a week ago. Do we appoint them every year, all the individuals? Or do they have a term when that commission was set up? I do not remember.
I have to go in and look too, because it was before me, but.
I mean, I can check on their bylaws, but. Because we don't appoint the people from the towns, of course.
I think it's just a year term, but it doesn't show a term, so that's why I don't know. It was never
Okay.
entered in there with a term.
Okay.
It's just, you know, we have those at large, we have those that represent the cities,
Yeah.
the rural.
Because it's up to the towns to,
Yeah, like if,
so supply a representative.
It's usually the mayor unless they do differently.
Yeah, just so somebody's there.
But- Well, I'll put it on next week if you want to look.
All right.
And we'll try to research
I'll
some of that.
dig that up.
Okay. Is there anybody else that you're heard from that we need appointments on, that we missed? Anybody else? I know
No.
you called about something.
I don't remember what it was.
See, I had people call me Monday night of last week that wanted to be reappointed.
Mhm.
I said, well, you're too late because we already appointed you this morning, so.
Too late, yeah, they're already- I think we might be one short on the eminent domain area, but I'm not too worried about it. So I told you we're starting at 8:30, so you don't, if we have to do over lunch, past lunch, do you guys want a lunch break next week? Take a little recess?
What's so busy about next
Because
week,
I'm
the
trying to
budgets?
get all the budget departments in.
Really?
Because if we do the comp board tomorrow, we start moving, then I want to plug everything in together as fast as I can.
Got it.
You wanna bring them all in?
Well, as much as I can in the next 2 weeks, by the end of January is my goal, because I want to start putting all the lump sums together.
Maybe they would help you next week,
It just makes my job easier later on. Trying to-
I,
make it happen.
And if we act on the salaries, if we
Right.
Hello, Lisa.
kind of know, I'm kind of keeping track when they're in here, what they put in there.
Could have just come in that door.
Yeah, you could, your badge works through that one.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where I was going. I haven't been out here.
You ever been in here?
Not,
Not for
I
this.
mean, I was out here when Ticky had her nails
Yeah.
salon out here. But other than that, nope.
Oh,
And when I used to take my kids to school,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a big area in here, that's nice.
Cheers again,
Yeah, I can see that.
Toilets haven't.
Yeah, toilets
They're
are
so,
yeah.
so low.
I remember those.
Okay, Lex, we'll start on your budget.
Okay.
You have your printout, Alexa?
I do.
Okay, they all have what you're looking at then too.
Okay, yep.
Figured 3%, I see. Is that correct?
Yes. For myself, and then, the other, well, yeah, the other two. I don't, the increase in Caitlin, I don't know if you see that, I would like, my plans are to make her a deputy. And I
What is
did,
Caitlin?
she's line 3. I did make a letter to you, but I give it to you, I guess. So that one, you'll see a little bit of a difference. But
Gary?
But yeah, my budget's pretty straightforward, not too much changes each year.
Yeah.
Check it out too.
And then I do always every year print these sheets out for you guys too, to kind of show what we take in for monies and what goes out of our office for monies. If you're interested in that.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Cool.
How many deputies do you normally have? Just one?
Currently, right now, I have one.
I know currently. That's normally what you've had, isn't it? Is one
Yes.
in the past, correct?
So I've only had one person working
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, so yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Is there any limitations to the number of deputies that you're aware of?
Probably be just like that code Melinda presented you.
Exactly, that's what I
Yeah.
was kind of referring to.
Every office is the same
Yeah.
as far as the number of
Each
deputies.
elected official, I think, is in charge of what they want, but you guys still have to approve that before they,
Right,
that's why we do it by resolution.
right.
We did research that last year,
Mm-hmm,
so.
yep. Caitlin does she's my vital records specialist, and Marla's my passport specialist, so, because the duties can't cross. If I'm gone, then Caitlin has to take care of all the vital records. So, it's a big responsibility. We just went through a new system right now, and she did very good. She steps up to the plate and takes care of people, and it's not been a fun week. It hasn't been working very well, and yeah, we're just struggling right
With that.
today. We're just kind of getting it. The bugs are getting worked out. Yesterday I got a call, because it affects not only our office, but it affects the funeral homes, the doctors, medical examiners, and yesterday I got a call from Mike Phillips, and he's like, I can't put this request in the system. I'm calling Des Moines. I've had it. I said, I understand where you're coming from, Mike. I understand. So, yeah.
And there's been a lot of deaths here
There's been a
this
lot.
year already.
Yeah. Not a fun part of my job, but yeah. It's been a lot.
So how are we doing on COVID cases? Are we down or what's going on that way?
She's not part of the health department.
I know, but
I have not heard. I mean, I have not.
so you don't know what people die of? Just-
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not all of them have been COVID deaths. But a lot of them. I mean, there was a big group there when the numbers were higher that was But I don't always see the cause of death either. I don't actually physically anymore get the certificates in. I only, when someone requests it,
It's all electronic now.
is when I see the cause of death, so.
Your income on the hunting and fishing license fees are way down.
Yeah,
Is that because nobody can get into the courthouse, so we just go to Tyson's instead? And-
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think being shut down did, discourage some people from coming to do that, but, it's funny though, they'll come to me when Tyson's or John's can't get them, they try it and something won't, something won't work right, so they come to the courthouse, We'll go there, we know she can figure it out, and so, yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that.
But if you look at her 6 month, if you could assume that her first 6 months is gonna be the same as the last 6 months, so far she's got 115,000. If you double that, that's 230, which is above last year. And then on the bottom part, with where the fishing and hunting is, so far she's at 204. And if you doubled it, that's gonna be 418. And so her revenues her activity and income shows that you're up.
Yeah, oh yeah, but that's everything,
Overall.
that's total, yeah,
I get that.
right, right.
And some of that may be, and I haven't looked, some of it might be just because of revenue stance being so aggressive, being so high.
Yeah,
A lot of real estate
doing a lot of
transactions
real
going
estate.
on with the mortgage rates
Mm-hmm.
being so low, so.
Yeah, we've been doing lots of recording, but strictly the hunting and fishing line, it's going to populate more
Oh, yeah.
during the fall than, spring normally, because that's when we sell more deer kegs and stuff. But, I think being shut down has hurt a little bit, but I'm glad I was able to have my office open. People can walk up to the door and get in, because I've had lots of people thank me for that. And,
It does create some chaos. Why one office can and the others can't, that's just what Haley was discussing here.
I was talking to Melinda about the phones and stuff,
Yeah,
how that person that come up to the door to make an appointment, they didn't have one, they sent them back to their car to call when they were just argumentative, they just wanted to walk in there and ask for the appointment, but
right.
that's the kind of stuff people are
We-
getting more upset over.
They are, and I hear it a lot, they'll come down and they'll do a transaction in my office and say, well, can I get in the treasurer's office? And I go, well, let's see what we can do. And so we walk them down there and ask the girls if they have time and busy, and if they're not busy, they'll take them.
Well, especially after the wages were in the paper. You guys get paid for being closed? I'm like, we're not closed.
Yeah, so it's frustrating, it is frustrating, I do hear a lot of complaining.
I think it can keep people healthy in the courthouse and the public. So,
Yeah.
Think how many people I had during the election. We had, probably 500 people in person and we all stayed healthy.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree.
I mean, we were busy
And there's
too.
other, I think I hear it a lot about going to other places, how come you can go to the gas station and you can't get in the courthouse,
Yeah, like the old grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard that long before we did anything, so. I don't have any questions on the budget.
The grocery store, virtually everybody goes to the grocery store. My son-in-law's parents are not going. I don't know how they're doing it, but they have not went out since last spring. And I think,
curbside, getting their deliveries brought out to them.
I don't know what's going on, but
There's a lot of that goes on. Out here at Hy-Vee, they've got parking spaces where people can pull up for the groceries to come out to them.
And I was for Target and that first, when we used to have that concession stand, it's all orders to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people adapt.
I said to my husband, we should do that, it'll keep me on track, stick to my list and not buy stuff when you're hungry.
Or look around and
Yeah.
find something else.
Yeah.
to throw in the cart.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have nothing else.
Me either.
It looks to me basically wages.
Pretty much is every year.
Yep.
Yep.
You're already on the same insurance, I mean, your employees, so.
Yep.
The year-to-date mileage and, your education training, that's, you're currently zero, and that's understandable.
That didn't get used this year.
We don't even
You're
know
not
what,
able to go anywhere.
No.
You're not having seminars or training.
I have mine tomorrow for the newly elected officials, the webinar.
Uh-huh. That's, yep.
And I don't even know if they're gonna let us go in person in March yet.
I
They're
know.
still talking.
I know. I bet they don't.
Quite honestly, these webinars and Zooms, what a way to save funds, county and
But
money as far
I
as-
get
Yeah,
more out of
I
it when you're
I
there in
don't like
person
it.
with them.
Uh-huh.
Because you're networking and you can, hey, this might bring up another question and you go right over to that person and,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We turn around and we have like group discussions.
Mhm.
We divide the room off and it
There's
is,
pros and cons.
it's really helpful.
I miss my people.
I do too. I like people, seeing them.
Guess that's it.
Okay. Thank you.
It's good work.
Thanks, Lex.
Yeah.
Are you gonna come back to us regarding Caitlin?
Yes.
Because you've got July 1.
Yes.
Usually in June,
We'll do like a,
I have the elected officials certify their deputies to you guys. So I told her she could put that on her letter then, probably.
Sure.
We'll do it all in one resolution, if that works that way. This way you knew why her budget was up a little
Yeah.
bit.
kind of why I did it, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep this so we have it too.
Okay, yep, sounds good. Okay, well, thanks. I guess I'll go back to work. Can I go out this door?
Yep.
Yes, you
Yep.
can.
Yeah, so for any future meetings, if that deadbolt's open, we can use our badge to get in here.
Okay,
You gotta look at the top whenever it turns green, then you go,
okay,
And then tomorrow night, you're gonna be here.
Yeah.
okay, yep,
Instead of the jury room.
yep.
is that tomorrow or Thursday?
Tomorrow.
Wednesday night.
So whoever leaves, let's not shut the deadbolt tonight.
Well,
Tell that to Dick,
I will. Or I'll
Dick
tell him
knows
to
about
open
Dick's.
it.
but tomorrow.
I'll have him open it for me tomorrow before I come in here. So,
What time is that meeting tomorrow night?
6.
6
6?
o'clock.
We having food? I'm just kidding.
A picture of margaritas.
did you say booze or food?
Yeah.
Well, both.
Well, that's what I asked a few of the members, like they voted, or, I said 6, 6:30, give me your input, and 6, because then they can get home at a decent time.
Yeah,
you know.
John will keep it going. He doesn't like to, he likes to,
I'm ready
Stay
to
on
pass
track.
on the secretary duties to somebody else, though. I don't wanna have to do the minutes again. I know you've had your turn, we'll
yep,
get Melinda, or I
Melinda.
think even one of the comp board members could do it.
I don't think so.
yeah.
I mean, I think we should stay neutral, not even be in it, I mean,
That was
I
always,
could see one of the comp board members doing it.
that was always my thought. It
Yeah.
was very weird to type up minutes about myself.
yeah, I don't
Or
like it either,
making.
because it's like, what do you put in there
I
for
mean, it don't
the?
sound good though.
I know. Type whatever you want, no. No.
Type what I really wanna say, or what I,
Yes, I would have to agree with you. I did it for a couple
yeah,
years, not as long as you did, but. you know.
that book is interesting to go
Pass it
back and
on.
look through that, just read from years past to be able to look now.
Mhm.
Pretty interesting. Yeah, so Melinda's got a new person. I assume you guys wanna reappoint the same people you had, I mean, you have that option after this year if you wanted to change your representatives. Cause you three have two between you three, and then each of us get one, so. Just a thought. If you're happy with them, I guess you'd ask them to be reappointed.
Who do we have?
You have Bob Hanson and, is it Nick?
Nick Bolts.
Nick Bolts is your guys's.
And that runs with your,
Yep, so it's usually through the
Sure.
June, because it's like, if we had it in November, they cover it, so. Covered, but like Melinda's, he resigned and wanted off. She got somebody new.
yep, we'll have a few new faces. Okay,
Thanks, Lex.
thank
Yeah.
you.
I might run to the bathroom.
Yeah, we'll take a bathroom break.
Well, otherwise, I think we've gotten, so next week for the agenda, for the appointments, of solid waste. Let's see, who else was I thinking we had? Oh, we were gonna discuss zoning, but I thought Barb said we were good with that.
Okay.
I feel like I'm missing something. You guys remember what other ones? Anybody? I don't know. If you think of it, just let me know, because like right now, I'm getting all the departments scheduled, so. So yeah, plan on it at least be until noon, or probably maybe, I'm trying to find maintenance. Sometimes they either like to come by after their lunch, or.
Mhm.
So if it's done by 1, do you want to break, or just keep going?
Keep going.
Okay, like I could break a bar or something.
'Cause I was gonna say, I can't believe it's gonna be that long.
Well, I have, starting at 8:30, we have the sanitarian budget, land use. We have a farm exemption app. We have DHS budget, mental health relief, transportation, county attorney, sheriff, myself, maintenance.
County attorney, has he turned his
I just
in?
got it. Yeah, I
Okay.
got it entered, so I'm trying to schedule him in here.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think
Yeah,
we,
you get sheets here for county attorney.
yep, I just put his in there. Gina's finishing up my election one yet. We're trying to figure out if we have to do a city school combined, build new line item, or, I don't know.
Or taking a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I
Yes,
think
we
we'll
are.
have all the department heads hashed out by then.
Okay.
And then it's just you guys', so I brought your guys' sheets if you wanted me to do anything special on you guys', and then I do Department 99s.
I couldn't think of anything.
The only thing is that advertising will be higher, the printing, and
Yeah.
it seems like we did a lot of
Well, I've cut back on that if you look at
oh,
history.
you have.
Yeah. I've saved us quite a bit by some of
I
those.
know from shorting things up.
It
I know,
should be relatively the same, I would think.
Yeah. You know, like our budget amendments, depending on those kind of stuff for Melinda, some of those.
We didn't go with the Gazette, which is traditionally higher price.
Mm-hmm.
It's more
So-
flexible though, but yeah.
I get
Yeah.
that, yeah. And we said we could change if need be.
I haven't heard from BDG. What about the hospital for that contract, for the allocation that we give the hospital, that kind of stuff? I don't know what to put in, but.
You're on that, ain't you?
Yeah, that contract, I mean, that's something you kind of asked.
Snooze, they lose.
Well, I think Dave's still working on that contract, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's kind of stuff, and then we got to worry about
Which
the,
contract's that?
with the hospital, how Virginia, you know, how Barb brought it up earlier, and everything. And then I guess we need to know more on those towers, because where I'm gonna put that, if it's out at E911, Scott does his own budget. But for the county portion, he already told me for his EMA share, I'm gonna put that amount in, it pretty much doubled. We usually pay like 47,000 out of general sub,
Mhm.
we're gonna go up to about 100 out of that one,
Mm-hmm.
just for that portion we give to the EMA. So whatever those tower things are, gonna be an addition. So I didn't know if you guys were wanting to do a general obligation debt
We have
service,
to do something.
or with that road, with, you talked about farm to market road. I mean, that's kind of stuff you guys need to know like ASAP, because if we have to do that, I have to put it in the debt service part. And we can't levy for it unless we have public hearings and all that.
See, I've been gonna stop on that road south of town here and actually measure it to see if it is 60 feet
Mhm.
wide, and I haven't done it. I've
Okay.
been-
It would be, wouldn't it?
Well, you still have to do something with the grade and the ditches and all that stuff anyway.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have to, if it's 60 feet wide,
Or if you got your estimate, so I know an amount to put it in there, then we could still have our public hearing for that, say in March, April, later on, as long as we know.
it's 66 feet, isn't it?
If we're gonna do all that, I think we need to be looking at the paving for this lot out here. And I know we've got paving going on down there.
Well, I have some money for that, but not all of it too,
I
so,
get
yeah.
that, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, you may have to do some,
Yep, and we'd have to name them as separate projects, because you can only go up to a certain amount per
Right.
project. So,
yeah.
and then we gotta figure out what we wanna do for mental health levy, that's another big one. I think we'll still just do a portion. That's just my gut feeling when I'm looking at the numbers. Cause they haven't given us what the region's wanting yet. Do you know when your meeting is?
It's the end of the month.
Okay. So, those are just some of the big factors I'm waiting on to put it all together.
Okay.
Yep, let's go back. And then Farm Bureau meeting, right? Did you tell them about that? Did you all?
Well, I seen that Rick acknowledged it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the
That's
email.
what, another reason I kinda wanna get as much as I can done for those kind of things.
It just seems, February just seems like the wrong month for that. It should be in March. I mean,
Well,
after I've had a chance to
yeah.
go through it a little more.
I think they're wanting to give their 2 cents in before we finalize it, probably.
So when is that?
It is, February 11th, Thursday.
February 11th?
Yeah. And they have from 6 to 10, I think is what it was. Is that thing still going? I didn't know, she stepped out of the room.
No, it's still going.
Okay. Yeah, from 6 to 7.
6 o'clock in the evening?
Yep.
Yeah. Or you can go 6 o'clock in the morning. If you're ready.
They said they'll do either by phone or virtual or show up in person. You didn't get an email on that?
I may have missed it, but I'm getting a lot of garbage now.
Yep. Agreed.
It was sent from Michael Hopper. Yeah, time for a stretch. Oh.
That's it for the budgets for today.
Myron and we,
What's that?
Myron's coming in with Ben to do their budget.
Okay.
Cause that one's the one where I don't know where to split those out in. So they have to come to an agreement
Yep.
before I make those line items active or not. So, and I haven't got conservations on here yet either, so actually, Shelby, if she's not ready next week, maybe I'll do the following week with her. Do you know? They might wanna wait until they get hired.
Yeah, they're gonna do interviews next week.
But did they do their budget at their meeting already?
Yeah.
Cause that's where they do their salaries and all that, so she'll know or not.
Mm, I don't think they did last night, come think about it.
Or was it last week? I thought they did some of that already. Talking about conservation when I should have mentioned it.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
They did talk about it, but basically everything stayed the same. You know, they hired a new guy, Ed,
I met him.
and he just started,
Mhm.
you know, and then like,
I'm hired.
You know you can come in that door, right?
Yeah,
Okay, just making
I
sure.
just can't get out of there easily, so I just decided to walk the easier way.
Okay.
Eye-hand coordination must not be very good.
No comment.
Waiting for a chuckle on Tracy, but I wasn't hearing.
I got it on silent.
Well, we have a couple minutes tonight to throw out a couple of short reports.
Yes, please.
First of all, Greg Walston, who's been on the community garden, got a hold of me regarding a couple trees.
Mhm.
That willow out here is a
Mhm.
messy thing. And wanted to know about getting rid of that, and I think there's is it a sycamore? I don't know, there's another tree over here that, he said you knew all about it, that needs to possibly come down as well. So he's getting getting a quote to see what it costs to get those taken care of. And we should have that here soon.
I got one quote. Was it from Trump or Walton?
Did you get a quote?
It's been a while ago. It's like 2 months ago
Really?
from
Okay.
that. I thought it was that
We'll be
one.
getting another quote.
Okay.
So, okay.
And I thought, because it come in the mail, we didn't know what it was for. But then I think I did talk to Rick Bramo too.
Okay, well, that's what that's for, and so be looking for that. And then, food pantry. Food pantry, Linda Wood hit me up about getting some signage, some lettering, if you will, not signage, lettering put on the west door. Actually, the vinyl put on the door. And with that, she wanted to put Benton Food Pantry open, Tuesdays from 10 to 3 p.m. and then put their mailing address on there. And I'm not so sure I want that all stuck on the door. I'm okay with a sign, but I don't know that
Can they put it on the brick?
well, the sign can be put outside on the brick.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And here is the two different things that she would think.
Is it the Benton Food Pantry or Benton County Food Pantry?
Well, she put Benton because
Don't we
Benton location, is
Let's
really
say we
what
disturb
amounts
other
to.
residents
That's the
then.
signage she wants.
And so I personally would like to see the sign maybe on the building versus the door.
Agreed, here,
Gary, what do you think?
you're fine.
Thank you.
And then the next thing, can we, instead of, I'm kinda like Haley, should it be Benton, not Vinton?
Benton County Food Pantry?
Yes, ain't it?
Well, 'cause
Well, how is it referred to in Belle Plaine?
Belle Plaine.
Okay, then this would be Benton.
But I don't know that they limit the residents to just Benton people, do they? To come and use that?
What's that?
I don't think it's just Benton residents that come.
It is not,
Okay.
it's not. You know, so, okay, so that's a suggestion, would be the Benton County Food Pantry, Benton location. Okay, and a sign on the building rather than the door.
Yeah, I'll mount it if they,
Did anybody ever take that one off that other entrance for the Horizons?
Horizons, I don't think anything's off the building.
Isn't there a big one out there?
There was a good sized one out there,
Because you can see it like from a
Mhm.
distance.
so.
I'll take it off.
I don't know how it's a big one.
Cause, Rick, I got a question for you, maybe, on another note. I don't wanna say names, but, the office that we talked about here earlier in the meeting today, that we were gonna let somebody use, borrow here a little bit ago. Now, I noticed, I was in the doctor's office yesterday, and they still got that person's name and the Vinton phone number if they needed a ride to the doctor. So, is the phone still being hooked up that we're paying for, since it's a 472 number, you know, in this office next door, or?
I'm not into that, I don't know if that number's forwarded to
Yeah, see,
another
Maybe forward it to
location.
Belle Plaine, because
I don't know who's coordinating that.
let
But
me,
is that on a bulletin board up there?
yes, it's in, that paper is in the different doctor's offices here in Benton County.
usually I'm behind the door where you could pull that, is it where you can pull the little slips too?
Yep.
Maybe we
Well,
just need
that's
to tell
one
the
of
clinic.
And I did, you know, I seen it, I seen the person's name and the phone number, and so the first thing I thought, well, I could check the phone number out, because I grabbed my cell phone out, I was gonna call that number, well, then the doctor come in, end of story.
Okay, I don't know who's heading that up for the county. Haley,
I know Wayne Parizak, I have his phone number, I'll see if he knows anything, because he's the one that brought me the budgets.
okay, do you wanna contact him
I'll
then?
see.
Okay. And make sure that they get that corrected at those locations throughout the county. We probably need to get some new signage up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just paper, but
Yeah, well,
I did not know if that, the Vinton number is forwarded to Belle Plaine then. Well, Myron?
Multiple items this morning. Taylor Construction has got a number of bridges under contract to replace here in Benton County. The one just north of Benton, north of the Christmas tree light corner, south of the sand pit. They would like to get started on that one first and soon. And so I have a resolution to temporarily close that segment of road starting next Monday. The Mother Nature allows them to do work in the wintertime like they did 2 years ago over by Villa Caminga. They're hoping that they can be pouring the deck the first good day of spring and get moving dirt to patch everything in, you know, in May time, and have that all done before summer.
how will that affect a couple of those residents that's close to that bridge?
There'll still be access to get to the end of their driveway that way.
Yeah.
It'll just cut everybody
off from the north or trying to go north from that point.
Right,
And,
they'll just have to go the other
we
route.
will adjust a little bit of our winter maintenance between now and the end of winter, based on that, but that's really about the only thing I can come up with, say, okay, we'll have to go around, but, fell of the ones they had, this one might be the least disturbing, so to speak, and, they'd like to try to get started, so.
So you need a motion to,
I do.
Set that.
Being a road closure, it's actually a resolution.
Resolution,
I'll make that.
We got
Second.
a resolution on bridge closure on 22nd Avenue in Cedar Township.
Beer shank aye.
Primer eye.
Seaman, aye.
You also on first?
Did you see what I was talking about when I imported those?
Yes, and I see
I went
that.
back to your original spreadsheet and I was like, well, why didn't it come in? There was like a space, and that's all it was, and I re-imported mine, so now I feel bad you did all that. You should have just said something. Need to double check it though again, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't in vain then. You were ready to slap me probably for that.
Actually, my check was, I already had totals written down, and I just did
Oh.
the math that way, and so we can
Okay.
assume that everything matched up
Yeah.
and looked
Yep.
close, but
Yeah, those import, that's why I always send them back out to the department heads, because that one year they'll get off.
it seemed that you had sent that last week, but I didn't open up and look at it.
Well, a lot of them don't put the revenues in as a negative, so then it'll give me an error too, and I'll have to go in there.
I helped out with some county engineer training on Friday morning, I think I was doing it virtual, from home.
Are you a
See my
mentor?
emails, huh?
You a mentor for somebody else, or?
Because I'm on a committee,
Oh.
it's more so. but-
I'm mentoring Buchanan County right now. They have the same software and stuff, usually they'll try to
Mhm.
hook them up with somebody. Over here.
Item 2 on the agenda, an individual by the name of William Garbers, has worked for Benton County Secondary Roads for a long time. He reached a milestone yesterday from a birth date standpoint, and he talked to me earlier this winter. I know that the auditor's office got the same thing I just handed him, but his effective retirement date is this Friday. And so I'd just like to acknowledge that all that request came a month ago type of deal. I kept forgetting to put it on the agenda and to acknowledge his retirement, but he met all the timelines, so he's got everything coming to him.
So if we don't approve it, he can stay on, still plowing snow till,
Probably could, I was gonna say, with how he has arranged things with IPers and everything else, that would mess things up pretty heavily at this point.
We don't have to pay him, he can just come push snow.
Just do it for fun.
Do you need a motion to approve his resignation?
Or acknowledge it, one of the two, I guess. I know that we have at least put it in the minutes in the past, I've noticed with other departments. that
would
say
you call it a
Acknowledge
resignation or
resignation.
retire? He's retiring, right?
Same, well, one and the same, I guess, in this case.
So it's been acknowledged. Yeah.
Okay.
He's been with it, how many years have you been with the county?
Meant to look it up, but,
Let me tell you here.
30.
Been a long time, I know.
Here, I'll see when his hire date is.
That's okay. Did you-
32,
He's been there a while.
Yeah.
38-ish, 37, something like that. Approaching 40, I think.
1980, what was his hire date? Go back.
Do we normally do anything in appreciation?
1982.
When was that?
He was hired in 1982.
82? Wow.
There's only one secondary roads employee right now that's working for secondary roads.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that?
Larry
Larry.
Christensen.
Coincidentally, from a milestone standpoint, my anniversary date was just over the weekend. And I got some vacation time still on the books that I haven't used, so I'm asking to carry over 75 hours of vacation time.
You have anything planned in the future for your vacation?
Well, if I could just take off and go wherever I wanted to, when I wanted to, without too much restrictions, I know my wife and I would go do that quickly, but I do need to replace my pool later this spring. I mean, between now and, or come spring and summer, I'm probably just gonna take a week here and there and just leisurely enjoy life like I did 3 days last week. I was working on a few things, and my wife reminded me one night that I was on vacation and wondered why I had work out in front of me, and I said, well, had to get done, but I did less than what I was going to do last week, so, I don't know. I guess I would ask for it through the end of May, if that's all right. I don't know what timeline you've been
I don't see a problem with that,
considering.
if that works for you.
End of May.
So
Yeah.
move June 1st.
I was gonna say even give him to the end of June, the
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what we did on somebody else here a couple weeks ago. I don't remember.
Okay.
That'd be better.
That'd be fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a motion, Gary?
Yes. Leaving.
What's that?
I'm interrupting and leaving.
That's fine.
Thank you, Ray.
With changes that have been going on in the auditor's office.
We did
Secretary
vote on that.
No, we didn't.
Sorry.
So did I get a motion?
Gave the
Yeah.
motion, I did a second.
After we change it till
Yep.
June 30th? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Myron.
Now,
If you have questions on it, you can talk to me about that later on. I didn't want to interrupt your meeting, but that's the current part of it, but that's only a blip. Our valuations are gonna be higher for 2021 without a doubt, because the residential values are going up and other stuff too, so.
It
okay.
went up a little bit this year too. Did you look through that yet?
Excuse me?
I sent you the valuation report. Did you look it over?
Not really. I had 2 meetings this morning. I mean, in a general sense, unless there's some big change
Yeah.
from someplace to other 2020 values, it probably didn't change much, probably went up a little bit.
It went up a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah, as long as there's no big things in there, that should be fine,
Okay.
so.
Good.
I went ahead and submitted it without your final.
Yeah, I mean, yours is almost always fine and stuff, so I don't know if I've ever seen anything, because it'd have to be a big, something that really sticks out as a sore thumb on her part of it, because it comes from all of our stuff, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
It's gonna buzz if I just open it.
Green light?
You gotta wait for the green light.
There we go. Have a good day.
All right, Myron, go ahead.
That's all right. I forgot to let you vote on that. Should have waited. Look at payroll next month, or next week, and I'll see I have minimum amount allowed for an employee with years of service. With the changes Haley's made in her office that impacted my office, that meant there was a job opening that needed to be filled. And I had advertised for that a month ago or so. I think I had 13 applicants. I interviewed 3 of them. One of the 3, by the name of Deb Cummings, I believe would be the best person, and I offered that to her yesterday. Going to talk a little bit more in detail this afternoon, but I think she could start some part-time training, learning next week. So I'm looking at effective Monday, the January 18th. $35,000 a year is what I came up with for a salary.
And we'll do that by resolution too. So we'll just continue what we're doing until we're done, and then I'll move the
She
position.
started in part-time then, is what you're saying, part-time?
For a week or 2 type of deal. She's currently working, and would be available for a few hours in the afternoon, and I'd offered to come in for a few hours in the afternoon to start learning a few things until she could start full-time, and part-time would be 2 weeks at maximum, probably, but.
It gives Alicia time to go back and forth too and help her as much as, I mean, I'll be flexible too if you need stuff. We're still dividing her salary up accordingly for now, so.
Salary-wise, was my bigger challenge, I think, and I don't know, I was looking at other counties around the state, and, based on what I was seeing there, I guess with this salary and this being January, I would like, probably mention it again in 20 minutes as we're talking, that position be considered for whatever pay raise that would go effect in July 1st also.
Make a motion to approve the hiring of Deb Cummings for your office manager, secondary roads.
Do we have a second?
Second.
By resolution, correct?
Beershank, aye.
Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Are you gonna hire a second, like, this is working out pretty good because Haley's letting somebody learn, but let's say she quits and goes somewhere else completely, and then you hire there isn't anybody there that, I mean,
Myron would have to train
yeah. Are you figuring on getting another person in there, or what's the story now?
I've gone back and forth, I guess right now I have somewhat of a more unique situation is that I have somebody within the county personnel that could assist, with the situation that came up here.
Well, I thought about too, we can roll your phone
I'm sorry.
lines, so say if Deb wants to take vacation in the future and you're short, the phone lines can ring in my office and Alicia can help some of that.
That's good.
I mean, I think there's some options, like I say, we used to be a 2-office personnel years ago, but I also have learned over the last 20 years that there was a lot of things that we were doing bookkeeping wise that was duplicate, triplicate that we eliminated, as well as just with automation improvements, you can speed time up and getting things done, as well as connecting information that used to be saved in multiple books and other things. It does mess a little bit with lunch hours sometimes and things like that, that whether part-time might be worth considering. The previous office manager figured out how to make a lot of things work more efficiently in that office that could accomplish what needed to be done as one single person. And in the past, it has taken more than one. And so it didn't get in a big hurry in doing things. And you never know when something like this does come up. And yeah, that brings up the question as to whether having somebody available or additional personnel worth considering or not. Don't know that it warrants 2 full-time people, but having somebody that may have an interest doing similar to what happened before, I guess say, Alicia started out as a part-time employee at Secondary Roads 6 years ago, and that worked in full-time because of some extra things that were happening, and as well as taking over the office when an individual retired and moved out of town. In her particular case, it blended well and worked well, whether or not that, happens in the future with others or not, but certainly worth considering. Right now, I guess the auditor and Secretary Roads have been able to work together, and there's an opportunity to utilize each other's services, at least temporarily, if something like that were to happen.
Well, it's kind of nice too when you have somebody on workman's comp, Alicia already knows what's going on when they call our office, or, I don't know, I've finding benefits to it too, so.
You probably got more, the girls are more busier probably like in April, May, June, when you're hauling rock and keeping the tickets and
Mhm.
than they are like now? Or am I wrong?
Depends on what the winter can be like, because on a eventful day, the phone can ring pretty heavily, and it
Mhm.
may be individuals just inquiring, it could be those expressing their opinion on how things are being done that day, you know, and a big share of winter time, depending on the storm conditions, could be spent on the phone. Otherwise, yes, you know, there are, I mean, you know, from a training standpoint, it, you know, becomes probably some more ideal aspects. And there are certain things, as Alicia and I were talking, it's like, okay, yeah, there's certain things, different times of the year that is the year, but maybe there's some things in my office that you do once a year and you're trying to remember what it is and you don't realize it until you get to that month.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, we need to do this during this month. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it's one of those annual things that you do during this given month.
Well, if the need arises, we can address it at that time.
Mhm.
Okay. You have some DOT stuff here?
I do. The DOT, from what I've been learning here the last few months, is planning on resurfacing Highway 150 from north of it. And I'm not sure if they're going all the way to Independence or not. I know it's been broken up into pieces over the years, but just because of the plans that they sent me and calling and asking that when the states a few years back did between, I think, the interstate and around the interstate area and north, Benton County participated in having them pave extended billets at the intersections, carrying the asphalt out into the rock, and I think 3 or 4 intersections up there. The question that was posed with their development of their project between Benton and the interstate, would Benton County want to do that with the intersecting roads and pave?
I would think so.
Extend things out. And I said, yes, I'd be interested in that. They put together an estimated cost to incorporate that in the plans, about $65,000 to do, I think it's 11 intersections. So they want a pre-construction agreement signed to move forward with that. So I need an approval for the agreement and the chairperson's signature on this.
Is that just, do we have to do that individually, or can we just do that as a motion?
We do it all in one. Authorized signature and approve.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, how's that gonna affect, have you any clue if they do that roundabout at that time? Is that what they're gonna do? Resurfacing?
No, this should be in advance of the roundabout, I believe, based on what I'm seeing timing wise, and so I
Okay.
think they would be, I don't know if they would stop based on where the proposed connections are gonna be.
Or forget the
Because I was not, this did not include that intersection. It would have been, I think, to the north immediately there.
did not include that intersection, really?
So how's that gonna work whenever that's done? So there's gonna be a T there?
I can't picture it really.
No T, it's a roundabout.
It's gonna look like a sun with spikes coming out of it to
It's
get,
the only one in the county.
Is that what they decided on for sure?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I
yeah.
heard at one time too that they were gonna do some type of key thing, something like that.
Well, 100 years ago, I think it was. You know, and they do away with a lot of T intersections on highways.
Did you vote on that? I can't remember.
did we vote on
I thought we did.
You're saying a primer.
it? Yeah.
It wasn't a
Yeah, I
resolution.
thought so.
I'll say
We'll
aye.
do it again.
Aye.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Took the second time, so. So don't, not two $65,000 bills now on this.
But I'd
From
think
what I
that,
had seen timing wise, now I don't know, because numerous things I think have been impacted, even from a planning standpoint this past year. I thought I was seeing this project being done in advance of the roundabout in 2 different construction seasons, and not seeing specific plans. I'm gonna guess that they would probably stop at about the location, both west and north of that intersection where that roundabout would be tying in, so they didn't waste additional material.
From a trucker's standpoint, I would say you just leave it the way it is, except for moving that road from going straight out, move it up so that it hits the.
A couple of years ago, you had the opportunity to go over to Dan and voice your opinion.
Yeah, I did. Whatever.
Multiple times, I think, if I recall, right? Yeah, I think they had a couple public input meetings over there. I know I attended at least one of them, but I think there was more than one.
But those roundabouts aren't real good for trucks as far as I'm
You
concerned.
give your input and they do what they want.
Yeah. There's one up, at Starmont, being west of,
The one by Starmont was probably one of the first ones that was put on
On a highway like that?
close to it, I think, in Iowa.
but that's a square
They
intersection.
say Blackhawk County has multiple ones, I know, on their county system.
Yeah, that one of us,
Lynn County just put one or multiple ones in on County Home Road just this past year.
Mount Vernon screwed up. I don't know what they were thinking, but they put them 2 roundabouts in and then the highway moved and.
So you see if traffic put one in just south of Highway 30 and 151.
Well, Myron, can we get at the engineer and weed
Yes.
budget?
We got weeds in Benton County?
What it says,
They're all dormant right now.
weed
Not
budget,
many.
the weed budget.
We had a commissioner to take care of those. Nobody ever complained about them.
Hey, this year, we didn't have,
So far this year, no complaints?
yeah, this year none so far. We only had 2, I think it was 2 verbal, like, following complaints last year, which I was amazed by. We also sent out going on almost 3 times as many weed complaints too. So
I don't know where you're wanting to start or not. I know that what was submitted to the auditor's office probably got produced in print in your book there, Tracy.
Yep.
The information that Ben put together from a cost estimate, I'm not sure if that's in that same form.
I don't, because I don't know what line items to move around yet, so.
And that's.
That's where I was
looking at
kinda
some
like,
stuff this morning, and I had talked to Jim yesterday, but, years ago, when, Benton County, had a weed commissioner that was in charge of, was a department head, had 2 different departments by number, I think. There was a Department 23 and a Department 24, and submitted expenses for those. I can't tell you exactly why the separation, the more I think about it, you know. And I know looking at some of that old information was how Ben proposed some numbers that he had submitted to Haley, but because the county's software program has changed once, twice, or 3 times since some of that stuff has been done. What I have submitted in the past was just some weed commissioner proposed expenses. I never had turned in a bill yet to date, where time was, the intent was if any time was solely spent doing weed commissioner tasks, which are minimum compared to secondary roads overall budget. But, so I only utilized, I think, 2 or 3 lines of that old budget. What I was looking at this morning is that the Tyler or Benton County combination must have merged Department 23 and 24 into Department 24.
Yeah.
And what's active is just the weed eradication function code 6010, the road clearing 7140 that the weed commissioner had expenses out of there are all inactive currently in Tyler, but are associated and created within Department 24. I see this morning, looking at Tyler. But nothing has been expended or shown in that for the last.
I was trying to look at the
10+
line
years.
items, which ones to make inactive or whatever, or active.
So I say all that because I know Ben put together a spreadsheet that was identified by name, that matches up for the most part with names that were used from the old budget. They just don't have the numbers, and not knowing still for sure what was being anticipated and proposed. I think, part of the startup of this discussion is, do you want to see, I guess, both budgets in your budget numbers as submitted to the auditor's office? And if so, you don't have that in front of you because what Ben had proposed isn't in print at the moment.
So we just need your guidance before I can go forward, because it affects all of our reporting.
Well, I think he should have his own budget.
But then you gotta remember, like we said, where they're levying.
So then, if Ben puts a budget together, is that gonna decrease your budget?
Well, it does, but where it comes in with his budget, he gets a percentage of the local option revenue, the local option sales tax. Ben would not have advantage of that. Correct?
Not necessarily.
I don't know, I'd have to
Yeah.
go back and see exactly how that,
So Myra gets a certain
Measure.
percentage. It doesn't say anything about weed specifically, but I think we could still use it for
Okay.
tax
Well,
related
that's
for
good.
different reasons, but Myra gets a.
however the memorandum was on the ballot would need to be.
You have that ballot, I think,
Research.
in the front of your folder. The
The other
measure.
question might even be coming up is whether that
It's
has
in
something
yours. I
to
put
do
it in one
with-
of you guys's. It has the public measure on there. Here, I
say
can
that
pull it
just
up.
because that came up as a topic Friday morning during this new county.
Right here in front of me.
Part
Yep.
and that,
The lost one.
That was
That's how it's worded.
Local option sales tax.
Read what the memorandum said, because that's what
It's
should
on
help.
Benton County Incorporated area, 1%. Local sales tax to imposed and incorporated area of Benton County. Revenue from the sales and service tax shall allocate as follows: 25% for property tax relief, this specific purpose for which the revenue shall otherwise be expended on. 75% for secondary roads, Benton County Conservation Parks, libraries, emergency service, and any other lawful purpose.
So that's, I mean, he could be considered a lawful purpose or.
Makes sense.
So how much does secondary roads get out of that?
You go
75%.
yeah. I mean, up to, because
Up
the
to.
25% is,
No, because there's other.
there's other, the libraries and stuff. I don't know, you kind of change it. What do you go off of, kind of a formula or just, because
I
it
think there
changes?
was a formula
There
that
was a
was created
spreadsheet for that.
for some direction. What that formula was, I have no idea.
Well, I have the
I got it
spreadsheet,
right
I can
here.
play around, but yet,
He's got it.
Funding balance, fund balance that cannot be ever spent, such as inventories, rebate items. Fund
Very-
balance restrictions.
First transfer into secondary roads, I think, was around 250,000 roughly.
when it was first created, it sat as its own fund, and invoices were submitted to the courthouse, and the auditor paid out those invoices directly from the lost fund. And then after a year or two of doing that, it was decided it would be much easier to just take a lump, do a transfer out of lost into secondary roads. But exactly what that amount is, I have just increased it mildly, I think, each year. And mildly meaning from when it started at around 250,000 and then 260,000, is what I have submitted to the budget. So it hasn't increased much.
Because to me, it looks like, I think it was 40%, does that sound right? 40% out of that 75.
My hunch is that at the time, the board probably talked about it, and I don't know if it's.
Because I'm looking at her spreadsheet, because she had like
Old
the
bids or
EMS,
not.
conservation was 14, I mean, she had it all broken out, and that's kind of what I followed. Because I put in the lump sum we get, and then it kind of divvies it out. I've always just copied the spreadsheets, so. But that's what it had, this one I'm looking at was 16, and it was 40%. So it looks like back then it was like 255,000, which we're about right on there, aren't we? So,
Yeah, based on it being dollars and cents almost, I think each transfer, I assumed it was a percentage, but it never did. I don't know what you have done the last couple of years, I think it's been rounded off
Yeah.
to an even dollar amount, whereas it had been exactly in the tax,
Right.
but I don't know how the exact was figured.
yeah, same with conservation, because it's not like, yeah, otherwise it would go back in that fund, so once we transfer it to you guys, then it's yours.
But past weed commissioner activities on secondary roads, you know, a significant portion of secondary roads in all of the weed commissioners' budgets in the past would have all come off of rural services, rural basic tax levy. Secondary roads has its own levy that you have to set within that rural services that gets reported to the DOT. The weed commissioner's rural services portion was funded outside of secondary roads. As some of land use activities,
Yes, we have some,
there's multiple things, not a lot of things, I mean, right now, our rural services, you have
we have like one of our security officers, or it used to be not a security officer, deputy, some of Mark and Barb's,
yeah,
some of their, and then we can split their withholdings, let's see, what else do we have? Department 33 is, yeah, so we just gotta go in there, I mean, maybe we should just make, I don't know what, to make it
your
easier on these.
the per capita contribution to the landfill is paid out of
Yeah.
rural services. Used to pay the animal shelter, I don't know that over.
We get their, bill, they submit us like, if it's a dog catcher type thing, what do you call that? We get Humane Society, I can't think of the invoice we get once in a while when they catch,
But some library expense, some township
What does that
expense.
cost to shoot a dog?
Your
And I
library's
just
is-
ran that report this morning, and I seen a little things, a few other things that were up, you know, and I know, as Ben and I were talking, what I submitted in my secondary road budget is that I did not include an expense for a roadside manager for fiscal year '22. So all of the line items that I have used for roadside manager all were submitted at zero. I reduced, because Ben's indicated that you as a board suggested looking at it as a separate department, buying most everything. So most of the herbicide chemicals for
brush cutting and weed spraying are not included in my budget. And so, I had, I think around $150,000 of my budget, that I reduced in a couple different areas total. But I didn't zero out every road clearing item because like wintertime right now, when we're not plowing snow on a day like today, I've got a large portion of secondary roads personnel out doing brush cutting, which is a road clearing function that would still continue. Or I would foresee doing that. I could say manpower is the biggest contributor to keeping the brush down in the rural area. You're not going to do it with a small department. So there's still going to be secondary road expenses that are road clearing related. Roadside mowing is all a road clearing activity that if secondary roads personnel are still going to use the tractor mowers to mow the roadside, which is how I submitted my budget, there's still a road clearing expense there. So I don't see it from the standpoint of just taking a specific line item and zeroing it out from secondary roads and say it's the weed. There's going to still continue to be some expenditure activities that are classified as road clearing that would be performed potentially from both departments if this would move forward. Does that dollar amount equate to what Ben is proposing? No, and there's some overlap probably yet, and there's other things that maybe Ben has from a weed commissioner's activity that would make up some differences. I say differences because I know what he submitted, but you, on the flip side, don't know those numbers, but I don't know that it's a net zero aspect.
Right. Well, in years past, before they were merged, I mean, it was the same scenario, I presume, where your operators, maintenance operators, maintainer operators were out cutting brush on a day like today. So, I mean, there was some of that intermingling, I would assume, previously, wasn't there? So it's
I think
not
so. I
anything
think there's
necessarily new.
more now than there was then. I can say then there was an opinion attitude that the weed commissioner was responsible for brush cutting and spraying, and so that department got multiple calls from secondary roads at times when certain things needed to be addressed. And secondary roads has done some of those activities in the past. I think they've been more aggressive and more involved in more recent years. And there again, winter has a big contributing factor. It's usually the more ideal time to address that. And if you've got snowstorms coming every other day, you don't have any personnel to address that. If on the flip side, you don't end up with a lot of storm events in the wintertime, or the gap between them is huge, not necessarily saying that you're looking for a filler, but it's an activity that benefits all involved, and that's commonly done in the winter months.
So if you add Ben's estimate for his budget and your estimate, it should be pretty well the same. Am I close to guessing this right?
Well, what he was just saying here, the length was, it's not gonna be dollar for dollar. If his is $10, his is not reduced $10. So if his is $10, his might be reduced $7.50. So because of that interaction. So, having a separate department, I get it, having a separate department, he's able to do his thing and take care of the weeds, et cetera. You know, I understand that. And I think that was part of his provisions for coming back into that department, was to be set up on his own. Am I incorrect? I think that's how Dave Thompson presented it.
I mean, that's what we had kind of agreed to at the time when I had, you know, the difference, I think, when I figured up the numbers, you know, I was working off of Mike Beamer's old budget, and like Myron said, there's no like numbered line items in the budgets he had. They were all just paper copies with, you know, different lines for certain things. So when I went through and did this, I kind of structured this based on what the department used to be. So there used to be a weed commissioner and a technician in the department. So I factored in my current salary, the technician's current salary with benefits, and that gave me a number for that. I then took, you know, we employ 2 spray truck drivers to run our operations in the summer with the benefits, plus the intern that we've been utilizing for the last 4 years. That's been helping me a lot with the weed commission side of things. You know, quantified that, and then, you know, broke that out over the number of months that we normally use those positions. And then I basically took the rest of the budget from 2010, which I've got a printout I can give you guys to kind of look through kind of where I came up with this. And then,
I presume adjusted it.
yeah, and to the best I could anyway, you know, and there's stuff that, you know, 10 years worth of cost increases is kind of, this is similar to what I gave you guys the last time I was in, just with, you know, the numbers. There is one number I adjusted just from I stopped in today just to get an estimate on like cell phone bills and that type of stuff, and I factored that in, so it's marginally different from what I submitted to Haley. But yeah, so I took if you look on the right side of the sheet, those were the numbers that were budgeted in 2010. And, you know, I kind of went through each line item and tried to think through, like, okay, what could this potentially encompass, and how much money am I going to need to cover those expenses today? Now, some of them, you know, right now, until I've been through a year of running the department, you know, this is as close as I think I can get at this point to know what stuff's gonna cost. Some things might be more, some things might be less. There might be parts of this that, you know, they, you know, maybe farmed out or something back in the day that I can do myself and save myself money on too, you know, from like a maintenance standpoint or something like that. I did factor in, I think, you know, the weed commission side of it. The only thing that was really substantially higher was probably the education and training part of it. Just if I have, you know, like, with our pesticide applicators licenses, doing recertification. A lot of times we'll go to the weed commissioners conference, and I factored in, you know, hotels and that type of stuff to go to that stuff. Otherwise, that one more or less, you know, isn't substantially higher, but I did figure in for the road clearing part of it, you know, if we were gonna take care of the entire herbicide purchase for spraying the entire secondary road system, I factored that in, plus a year's supply of stump treatment for doing brush cutting and treating the stumps. I also went through and quantified, you know, the fuel that we use for all the spray trucks and our vehicles and stuff like that, and built that in with, you know, the potential that gas could potentially go up, so that I've got enough money to cover that. And then towards the bottom, I had had some kind of miscellaneous things that, you know, when we had talked about this initially, you know, had thrown out to like factor in things that I thought would be kind of in addition to what we had normally spent that I'd like to see done for the department. One thing we talked about in the past was maybe potentially buying a chipper or, you know, different stuff like that, that if there is money left that I can budget for, that I'd like to do for the department as well, if I can fit those things in. So that's kind of where the bottom miscellaneous stuff isn't figured into the actual budgeting numbers that I submitted to Haley. But that's kind of how I came up with the numbers that I've got. So I guess I don't have the entire total on what I sent you, but it was probably more on the order of
I have
$300,000.
I've saved everything you've sent me, I just didn't put it in report
Okay.
format, but.
You know, to where I think a lot of that extra comes in from, you know, having the second person as part of the department to run both the spray trucks and the seasonal wages. I mean, in that part alone, you know, I had $58,000 figured in for seasonal wages, and with salary and benefits on the technician, that would be around $72,000. And you've got, you know, $130,000 of expense there.
Did we have a department for road clearing separately? I'm trying to find the history.
I think the county did,
Do you remember what number?
23, but it is not
I
entitled.
was gonna say, I can't find it, but I was trying to go back.
All of the, it looked to me this morning, that all of 23 departments that was road clearing 7140 function are just inactive in,
So I'm going in my budget maintenance and trying to find them in there too. So it was 23, I'm gonna try to find it here.
because what I did this morning.
But it was out of 11 though too, right?
Yeah. And obviously, these are all zeros, but I think all of these two function numbers
Oh, we're under 23 too, okay.
are, and for the most part, all-inclusive what used to be there.
Mhm.
There is a couple capital expenditure costs, codes, I don't see in there right now, that the county would have used prior, or back years ago when the lead district purchased equipment, because, or I believe that's how it was. Talking with Jill years ago, I think out of that road clearing portion is how that county handled equipment replacement with the lead commissioner then.
So I think if I go in the basement, I know not the budgets because they're just by service area, but I think there's those old
But looking at
books.
some old stuff I had, I
Yeah.
think, and kind of the name descriptions that Ben has been
Mhm.
working off of,
We could
I
make
think
these active.
95% of them are on that list that I just gave you. It may even be stronger than that. I think there is only 3 line items that I'm not positive are on there.
So it just
The old
looks,
data.
yeah, it'll just be split out of those service areas or whatever, but.
Going back to your question, Tracy, a little bit, as you're, in my conversations with Ben, one of my questions was, does he view his roadside technician moving forward, because that individual is planning on retiring later this winter, is that replacement gonna be functioning the same way as it has been to date? And I say that because when the weed commission department kind of was merged with secondary roads 10+ years ago, one of those 2 people became part of the bargaining unit and one did not. And so that person that was bargaining unit has been a snowplow operator also since that day. And my question was, did Ben envision that person being available all the time for secondary roads for snow plowing or not? Ben was still gonna think about that, but his thoughts were no, that he was gonna utilize that individual for weed, road clearing related activities, so I also did not take out 2 full-time costs out of my budget, I took 1. And so that kind of goes along a little along the lines of maybe it could be a net zero, but it's not a net zero as being submitted, because I'm submitting a budget with 1 new person probably to replace it. And he's submitting a budget for 2. So there is a cost of being a full-time employee, at least as a difference.
And depending on where they lie in the fiscal year too.
I know, I mean, Ben has always gotten quotes in the past for chemicals, and it kind of fluctuates a little bit from an annual expense depending on how much you end up having to use the previous year, depending on how successful other things. I think his numbers probably are more true budget. I've always looked at past years and tried to average things. I know, I think I reduced my numbers a little bit more on what that average was, would have been, I think he had $60,000 for chemicals, I had 40, so there's a $20,000 difference, there's a little things here and there, but kind of catching your question, I would say no with what, if you had the numbers that Ben has proposed in your budget and what I have in my numbers, the 2 combined are going to be a little bit more than what it is as 1 department.
And it's on the chemical too, it's hard from year to year to know exactly what we're gonna spend on that front. We've been fairly consistent. I think there's some ways that we can definitely save going forward. I know some of the chemicals that we use, they're creating generics that kind of come off patent or whatever, and I think that can be decreased probably, but just to be safe, that's kind of where I put it at anyway. And we order, I guess I wasn't sure quite how to do this part of it, but usually every 2 to 3 years we order a batch of stump treatment. It's like a custom blended deal that everybody uses to treat stumps with, and I think historically that's been around $10,000 when we order that. And it's what, 20, I don't know how many gallons it is, but I think they might be 15-gallon shuttles, and we've got like 9 of them, so it's a fair amount of chemical. So a portion of that would be to potentially cover the cost of that when it comes up, because we don't know, like Myron said, we might get a winter where we get a ton of snow and we can't be out cutting, so we don't use very much of it. We might get an open winter where we can be out all winter and you've got a ton of guys out there treating and you go through it pretty quickly, so.
My question is to you, Ben, what are you doing now, Monday through Friday?
Monday. So right now, I've been basically out burning brush piles for the last,
You can't burn in the ditches.
what's that?
Farmers put it in the ditch.
Yeah. No, we've been doing storm cleanup since, I'm losing track at this point, since the storm hit. So I've kind of been helping out, when the storm hit, I went out and helped the guys cut and clean up and pile everything, and now we've been going through and both doing mapping to help out with like the FEMA stuff. So my intern and I both have gone out, mapped brush piles, taken dimensions, doing that type of stuff to put it in our computer system so that the office can utilize it for FEMA. And then we're also burning brush piles at the same time to try to get those done by the deadline, which I think
I've
is
seen that
sometime.
mapping, and it is phenomenal how many piles there are out there.
Yeah, I think there's over 300 of them, but I think the grading crew guys and us have been working on it for the last few months, and I think it's looking like we might be done with that by the end of the week, hopefully, so.
Did they give them all the GPS coordinates on those too? Each pile?
What they want.
She wanted it on everything, like the towers and.
Why did FEMA have to know this?
They asked for
I
all.
would assume because it's got labor involved to take care of that, you want to make sure it's justified. that they're not just burning somebody's timber.
Okay, so they got reimbursed, you will get reimbursed from FEMA from doing this?
Certain amount, not full amount, all right.
75%.
75% FEMA will reimburse the county for the expense. The state will reimburse 10%, and then 15% of your expense will remain yours.
For a match, whatever.
Because that's what I was curious about, Ben, that around my area, that's where the brush piles are.
Mhm.
And I've been seeing all the guys out there doing it, and they've been using the telehandler to either restack it or, and I've seen them. I haven't seen you there, but
Yeah.
you're somewhere else.
Yeah, we've kind of been located, my crew's been primarily around Shellsburg, so we've kind of, I don't want to say divvied it up, but the same crews have been going to the same areas every day, basically, so I know like a couple guys from the grading crew have been going down around Norway, and then a couple guys have been going over by Van Horn, and we've kind of just more or less stuck that way because we know where the piles are at and what needs done from day to day, so yeah, basically myself, my intern, and technician have all been pretty well in the Shellsburg area for the last couple of months, just getting that stuff wrapped up, so.
It's kind of amazing how much of that's out there. I went for one weekend, went for a ride with my grandson, and he was pointing them out, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of
It's
material.
just devastating down there,
Hmm.
obviously, so. And Larry even pointed out the buildings, that's just the buildings.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
But yeah, otherwise on a normal winter where we don't have all this stuff, we do tree clearing and piling and burning and that type of stuff. And I try to structure it in a way where we always have something to do. So like we'll cut and pile and leave the stuff so that if it snows or, we get a terribly cold day, at least then we've got the piles to burn and stuff like that. So we try to divvy it up where we can do that all winter. There have been some winters where, what was it, last winter, the winter before, we got a ton of snow and then you just can't get to anything. So you go in to try to cut a tree and the snow's 3 feet deep and you end up leaving a big stump there or whatever. And then I do have a fair amount of office work that I do this time of year, just kind of preparing for the next season too. So I've got reporting I have to do for, I don't know if I explained this to you guys when you started or not, but every year we submit an application to UNI for prairie seed that we use in our plantings, and then I'm required to do documentation on all of those, basically put them into our, either submit a map or in the GIS program, and then give it to them, so that's part of their, how they get and maintain their grant funding. So I've got a lot of different stuff like that I take care of this time of year too, so it's just kind of a mix based on what the weather's doing.
Haley, are you gonna download this onto your spreadsheet
Well, what I have to
then?
go do is go in here and make those numbers inactive, and if he tells me the numbers on here, then I can go put them in there. As long
'Cause,
as
he's
long as him
got,
and Myron understand which line items that they have, what and give that to me.
well,
I can.
Myron's already got a lot
Right,
of this.
yours is pretty much,
You're
as long as
done.
they're in agreement, his
It's-
is good, it's just those.
Right, but since he's gonna go off on his own, I wanna see a spreadsheet.
But you guys realize that's gonna increase your levy for that rural services too. Because you're paying more out of that fund rather than secondary roads. Just so you know. And that's already going up some for EMA. I mean, I'm just wanting you guys to know all that. We're gonna have to just raise that levy. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going with that, I wanna know because that's how I can start playing with those levies. So if we sit down and put his numbers, if I give you this in an Excel sheet,
Yeah,
and then you put them in there, then it's a tool and I can just import it in really easy.
Yeah, and then that's all I need then, is, like I said, I just built this because I didn't have a structure to work
Okay,
off of.
so Myron already ran that. How did you run them without inactive numbers?
Took Tyler training too.
I know. I'm pretty impressed. Maybe Myron should be doing the budget.
You would click on
Myron's
both
numbers
the
should,
inactive and the
Yeah.
active.
Oh, so instead of running the, you put both and then it come in.
Yeah.
'Cause I was
not
playing-
doing it the first numerous times they did this.
Well, and I
but
kept looking for the road clip, like you said too, and I'm like, cause it shows 09,
We
08.
duplicated ourselves, at least everything you're saying, I was trying to do
Yeah.
this morning, yeah, I just clicked on both active and inactive.
Okay, yeah, cause that's what I would do, is then I'd go inactivate it and then it'd populate it, so.
A question or a comment that I had made earlier with this proposed change is whose equipment is whose and who's paying for what equipment. At this point right now, what I'm calling secondary roads equipment, which is a big share of most of things, is that the weed commissioner could use them. It's still gonna be secondary roads equipment. Fuel is easily captured and separated in our fuel system, so each department can pay for their own fuel regardless of which piece of equipment they're using. But,
I agree with that, cause you paid for it out of your secondary roads fund, those
Mhm.
equipment, right?
but there's little things, and what I told Ben yesterday, and I think we both kind of agreed amongst ourselves, is there's probably some bartering, so to speak, some, trading aspect. If we were to put a list together, hopefully it would be, a similar type of deal, but, is it all right, I say that with equipment, you pay for the fuel, but does that mean, okay, the oil change on it that needs to be done, is secondary roads expense just because it's our piece of equipment and it's a common, action, service needed. Now, major damage or something, that might be a different story, but, some of the shop maintenance, maybe secondary roads does, continues to do, but maybe the weed commissioner offers to do something else, and we didn't really come up with specific examples, but I think we
Not
both
set in
agree.
stone,
Yeah, yesterday is that there are certain things that we each do that you could probably put a cost to, but is it worth the effort and time involved with it? Is it something that could just be traded or, aspect? And if we're moving forward with that, I guess, you kind of along what Ben said, until it's done for a year or two, I don't think we fully know how that would fully work, But that was how I proposed, at least from a budget standpoint, all of the equipment that was purchased with secondary road funds will still stay with secondary roads, but the weed commissioner could use them as needed. As I mentioned, I took Ben's salary out of there, but I didn't take the road sector, so. Sure.
What I don't understand
And
is,
then there's other things, we've got some overlap right now with the items that are going to get inputted, right now, all of the, noxious weed notifications that have gone out in the past, from a postage standpoint, have been paid for out of secondary roads. You've got a weed commission line item, probably one of those items that I probably should use over the last few years, but let's say there was $250 worth of postage or more, for that. It's not a lot, but there's, 20 items here, and if $250 is something that Ben would have as a budget number, and utilizing it as a separate department. And if secondary roads had it, maybe it's more than that, but maybe I can change the numbers because I'm not quite sure exactly whether it is. But $250 times 20 items, all of a sudden now we're up to $25,000, $30,000, and so it's all playing back into what I said. I don't see it as a net zero at the moment. Maybe it's a net zero in the future, but it's really hard to specifically look at every little expense that has been part of secondary roads for the last 10 years plus that came from weed commissioner. And there's still, things moving forward that Ben probably has a different aspect of attacking and doing than what Secondary Roads has, where he's been working under my direction, suggestion, not that Ben hasn't been open and free to explain in his intentions, but it could be a different direction with some things, and there may be increased costs or reduced costs moving forward. It could go, either way.
And the whole thing is, the big picture is still costs the county X dollars, it's just divided into different departments.
Yeah, it shouldn't cost any more total.
Correct.
The one thing too that we discussed was, we use chemical again as an example, but it probably makes the most sense because we both utilize some of that chemical to have that come through my budget, just because I think if we run that part through Myron's budget, then technically I would need to reimburse him for it. But if I buy it through my budget, everybody that normally uses it would still be able to use it just without having reimbursement involved too. We talked about that with like hydroseeder mulch too. So like we probably spend $10,000 every year and a half-ish on hydroseeder mulch to do our seedings in the steeper areas of the ditches where we can't get a drill in. So if, my crew has normally done the hydroseeding, but like Myron said, just depending upon say we're in the middle of the summer and both my tech and I are out spraying and he needs a guy to go do hydroseeding quick, well, are we really gonna, bill them back and forth? If I just buy the mulch, they use it and there's no strings attached to that money then.
Well, if you do get a chipper,
Fall asleep
you
in
don't
your
care.
chair.
You're not gonna have exclusive use.
No,
So-
and that's the thing, I think, like, from my standpoint, like, that way, it just makes it easier, I guess, for everybody to utilize it from the way we've been discussing
Well,
it anyway.
that's what departments should do, is work together.
Yeah.
I would say, get that information, so get onto your spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm creating his Excel right now. I forgot the
Yeah,
broken.
the thing too, that, back to, again, what Myron said, and I had alluded to earlier, is, the problem we've got is, like, a lot of the line items that Mike Beaver had in the budget from 2010 don't really have him to reference right now what he's spending the money on. So it's like, on some of these line items where he's got, a few of them I just carried over from 2010, because I'm not sure what all is encompassed within those items. So, for example, he had $10,000 in motor vehicle that I carried over from the previous budget. If I find next year that we don't incur expenses that fall within that, that's something you could potentially look at, but as of now, I don't know what all falls within, Myron's been teaching me a lot about this stuff, just like how stuff falls within, so I need to kind of learn that for myself, like, okay, what all is encompassed within this, and then I can be responsible for it. If it doesn't end up being an expense, we should look at either putting the money someplace else the next year, or potentially taking it out of the budget if I'm not using it.
You want to commit the funds at the end of this year if you have leftover?
What's that?
Like we call it committed funds.
Yeah, so I just didn't want to not plan for it and then have to come back to you guys and go, sorry, I need it, so. And on the seasonal wages too, it varies so much from year to year on what we utilize. I've had two phenomenal spray truck drivers that have stayed around and helped with stuff in the past, but we've never required them to stay and do stuff too. I only keep them if I know I can keep them busy. So, for example, the one I've been utilizing the past few years, he works for 3 months and then usually wants to be done. But I figured it on 7 months just in case we decide, we get another windstorm or we get something where it's worth keeping them on and I can keep them busy. So that part of it too, is probably going to fluctuate. I guess in most of these cases I prepared for worst case scenario just so I'm not.
And the fact that you help each other out, such as when there's a lull in the winter, where they're coming out to help. I think that's wonderful, and you guys are helping them. Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and I guess to get back, there's one other thing I guess I wanted to cover.
Larry.
Too, just from a.
Reason?
Oh, when you
Property
said the
laws.
auditor, you meant assessor. I thought he was talking about me.
No.
What's that then?
There are just a few other things that, you know, I'm always looking for. I've tried to make the program as efficient as I possibly can. You know, I think that there's a few things I'd like to talk through with you guys just in terms of scheduling, and especially revolving around spraying, where I feel like we can make the program a little more efficient with a little flexibility on scheduling and stuff like that. If we're able to get that stuff done sooner. The other thing I talked with Myron about is, you know, we have had one of our seasonals mow shoulders. So if we get done early and, you know, we've got that flexibility, I don't see any issue why, you know, we can't jump in and help with that stuff too, that falls within the same general scope of our job too. It's kind of the same with the brush chipper. I know that's something I've kind of talked with you guys about. You know, we usually have time between, say, August when we wrap up spring, or where we have historically up to the point where the guys are done digging in the ditches and we start putting the nippers on to go out and pile brush, where I tried to, you know, get more brush cutting done in that time frame. The hardest part's just been, once we cut it, what do we do with it? And that's where I think, you know, when we've rented the chipper, I've been able to just cut it, grind it up, get rid of it. The city's allowed me to dump the chips there, and it's kind of done and over with. So I don't know if the money will be there for something like that, but I am able to get a $15,000 grant to kind of buy down the cost of that piece of equipment, if that's something that I can, you know,
I would put it in because Myron has a significant cut on his equipment.
Yeah, and I mean, I figured up, I had
Motor
called.
vehicle, new equipment, you reduced by $235,000.
Just the one, there's three of them there, so.
On that one line item.
Yeah, because I spent too much time trying to figure out the county codes as well as working with Tyler. I mean, I have 3 line items that are equivalent, and so one particular one doesn't mean a lot to me unless you're looking at the sum of all 3 of them.
Other 2, okay, all right, very good.
Because you say a significant reduction, and I'm looking at my new equipment, 3 line items together. Currently, I have $755,000 in the current budget. I submitted a budget for $775,000 worth of new equipment, a $20,000 increase. So when you say a significant decrease, I was like, no, I had a mild increase, so.
I was on the one line item.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Well, and
that's,
I run their revenue separate, because otherwise it gets too.
you know, from secondary roads, I don't know how much you look at it, whether you had specific questions, you know, between current fiscal year and what's submitted for fiscal year '22 from a total secondary roads expenditure budget. If my numbers are right, because the clearing account that I use for a lot of payroll expenses, things that are department specific, but because I need to separate things out and code to various DOT functions, what I do at the end of the year is I take that lump sum, and based on the type of work that we've done throughout the year, 40% goes to snow removal, you know, 30% goes to rock roads type of stuff, and break that down, and do that at the end of the year, so there's kind of a holding account that gets shown in the budget twice, kind of. And so when you take that out, there was a $37,000 decrease total submitted for secondary roads this year versus last year. That even though the decrease, I submitted the proposed levy recommendation at the same exact dollar amount that we did current year. which generates about, was it 89,000 additional funds out of rural basic and $7,500 additional revenue out of general fund. I think currently $250,000 comes out of the general fund and $257,000 finding the number right in front
Oh, you want
of me.
the
That
transfers?
is what I submitted for transfer. And then currently $3 million comes out of the rural services amount at that same levy rate. That was gonna be $3,089,675. So an increase, like I said, $89,675 of asking from the rural service from current year and $7,075 increase in the general fund, just leaving the secondary road levy at the same levy rate.
So even if we do this separate, you're leaving those the same, right? Your transfer amounts?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure. So I'm gonna email you that, Ben. I'm gonna email you the spreadsheet. I have to tweak it first,
Okay.
because I have to clean up the Excel. And then if you just put your amounts in that request column, and then resave it, send back to me, then I'll import it in and run your report.
Okay. Do you want me to take, I guess, one of the questions I had was, okay, so if I have something, like I don't know if these line items have, Myron and I talked about this yesterday, but like where I try to fit some of this stuff into, so for example, we started a no spray sign program a couple years ago where we've bought signs, posts, bolts, and everything to put in no spray signs, so they're all kind of like a uniform thing when we're going along, and there's an agreement that goes along with that. We designed it to be cost neutral, but if I'm going to be operating that through my program, I'm probably going to need some startup money to just buy the initial batch of stuff, so then we can, have the posts and signs on hand, and then when they pay for the permit or whatever, it comes back in. Who do I talk to figure out like where that stuff gets?
Is that the one we paid out of all addressing? Did we ever, no, that's some of that is
No,
materials.
Well, part of the answer to that question might be just pick one. I mean, it isn't a program like you would in a private business aspect, need to start with cash amount to purchase things. You could purchase things and it would be, might be the closest comparable aspect of it. Now, from that, what I was about to ask Haley, based on what I had said earlier, I think that, like that motor vehicle equipment dollar amount and line item, as well as other equipment and capital overlay, motor vehicles listed. Maybe it's just those two. Those are two items that I found in the old budget that I do not find carried over.
Which ones now?
Motor vehicle equipment and other equipment, they were old treated at 635 and 638 object code, which would be in probably for capital projects, new equipment type of deal. The $10,000 may have been, I don't remember what year that pickup was, if that was anticipating for a pickup or a pickup purchase. This would have been in 98 probably. 97, I think the two spray trucks were bought and they probably came out of that same line item. But those predated actions through secondary roads of any sort. And I know years ago, there was some budgeting done collectively between, and prior weed commissioner and county engineer, because I run across some old files back in the 80s, 90s in my office. And then that weed commissioner started submitting his budgets directly at that point, and those files don't exist in my office, and I think Ben has found some in his old office, but those two object codes I didn't find
Okay.
that would be, more or less new equipment ideas that the weed commissioner Ben may have for the future that we don't have already established. From what I can see in Tyler, whether or not they have to be new codes fully developed or.
Because there's one where you can click on the back to, yeah, I'm playing with it right now.
I bring that all up and probably bring it up to Ben later, that when he starts transferring his information, just because I've only looked at it, flashed over real quick. I think, like I said, 95% of it he's gonna be able to take your spreadsheet and immediately input it, but I know he's gonna find
Okay.
those two line items at least that isn't gonna be a placeholder already.
So I
there.
did email you that spreadsheet, so I can manually go in and tweak it for those two, like we said, if I find them.
Mhm.
So unless I find it, I'll revise the one I just sent you.
Yeah, and then I'll just, I guess once I get numbers on a couple of these, I'll maybe just see where you want me to, or I can put them in a line item if you think.
I was
that's
gonna
the
say
best
put your
way to-
spending authority, but yeah, I still need to make those somehow to get those in there for you.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess the only other thing I was wondering about is, okay, so right now, and back, there's another point we brought up yesterday, but I believe, I'm correct in saying when the departments were merged, the pickup and the spray trucks were weed commission funded or through that budget. Since that point, we have replaced the pickup we use for general purpose and weed commission activities. And I know, like Myron was saying yesterday, that like even with my salaries, it's broke out based on what I'm doing. With that pickup being replaced with secondary roads funding, do we need to look at either purchasing or somehow making that piece of equipment like neutral and off of that, so that when I go and do weed commission activities on like private ground or something, I'm not in violation of how that money's supposed to be used, I guess? Does that make sense?
If we could look at it, how old is the truck? Probably not fully
It's
depreciated.
what, a year old?
So
or
it's
something.
not fully depreciated by any means. Otherwise, we could transfer it in the departments. and
The other thing I
figure it
want
out.
to try to look at too, because I was talking with a buddy of mine's the conservation director in Franklin County, and he was saying that they have it now where you can purchase a truck at the government rate, and every 2 years you can take that truck and trade it in for the same value that it's gonna cost you to get a new one. So that was something I wanted to look at too, just from if I can either take this vehicle or purchase one and then keep trading it basically to keep a new vehicle, since we don't really do a lot, there's not a lot of accessories on that pickup or anything like that. That way we continue to stay, current with our vehicle as well, so.
I would think regarding the pickup, is that something that Myron needs for his people? That would be the question there.
Yeah.
Or is that something that he's pretty well just set aside for your department?
It's always been set, like, I think the weed commission always had a pickup. I don't know how the bigger, the Dodge 4500's always been. Just because I know that pickup's always been there, but I don't know if that one was specific to the weed commission back in the day. But
I left about.
that was just a question I had, and I know that's come up before too, like if I'm responsible for going in and, that's part of my weed commissioner job, to go in and destroy weeds on private ground. technically using a secondary roads funded tractor. I don't know, nobody's probably ever gonna raise a stink about it, but just so I'm kind of by the book on it,
So,
Well, like I said, again, if that's something that is basically weed commission, pick up, then that probably needs to be transferred some way or other.
Okay.
Damned if I know how.
Yeah, because the other
Really
pickup,
how you do it privately.
all right.
yeah, but I mean, the bigger pickup that we use, I don't see that that's ever gonna be used off the secondary road system. I don't have any concerns about that, but like I said, it's always just been a question in the back of my mind if, I use that to go drive to the back of somebody's place, like, just so it's, the old one was funded that way, it's just the new ones, not them, so.
Any issues, you're gonna have to look at how to transfer, basically.
Well, I'm just, yeah,
Okay.
I just gotta go in and make these line items all active and put his spending authority and stuff in there.
My question for you, Myron, there's been quite a bit of talk regarding this dirt road south of town. You don't know.
Yeah,
Any of that in this budget?
yes.
Okay. Is that what page one is? You got that $400,000 in there?
Yes.
That one line item.
Yeah. Outside of discussing that more probably specifically as a item of, on the agenda, I think $250,000, yeah, I threw out as a starting point, I guess. And actually, the reason that it was 400, because I actually thought of that last week, and emailed Haley when I was at home, and I'm like, I forgot the 28E agreement that we'd signed on the Lynn County line to improve that by Atkins.
Sure.
Was around 150, I think. I said, increase that number by 150 from 250 to 400, but yeah, I threw in a $250,000.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Because we're talking about the towers for the sheriff's department, and, we're gonna need to do a geo bond, or we're gonna add this or something else, and, so, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, there's $1.8 million in construction costs that are submitted in the budget. As I talk more about the DOT budget that I'll have to do later this spring, is when I generally talk more specifics, but that's.
I was just kinda curious.
Bridges, road work type of stuff, there is, construction money, and yes, I was trying to come up with a number to start with. I think that we need a lot more info yet to put more concrete numbers, specific numbers, I should say. I should say concrete, it might sound like I'm looking to pave this with concrete now, but, there's other projects that would need to be funded with local money that, depending on what direction that particular project is going, there are some others, that could utilize part of this 1.8 million. It was kind of looking at the county's road needs, I think, as well as some general discussion, comments you have made with budget standpoint is, yeah, we know that there's bargaining unit wage increases that we've agreed to, that wage increases will be discussed, but if you can keep your budget fairly close to what it has been, it's probably something you need to look at, and so I can't buy materials next year at the same price I'm buying this year, I know that, and so there's increases estimated in there, but part of me was thinking, okay, let's not ask for the moon at this point, and actually with, what is there, 7 bridges under contract right now that, the first one's looking to get started next week. There's gonna be a time commitment involved in my staff on overseeing those projects. We're not gonna have as much time as we've had in some other past ones. I'm also looking at, Gary had mentioned and asked, trying to get things moving forward on widening the road south of Clarkstown also. And so there is some expenses figured in there too.
Okay. Good, thank you. Questions?
I don't have any.
Jared? Either?
Well, I've got some, but we can do that after the meeting.
Well, technically, what is it? I don't know what it is. You don't wanna,
Chemical prices.
to talk to Ben.
Yeah.
So do you want him to come back again with this, or just once he submits these, give them to
I don't
you,
know.
or as long as those two are in agreement, or what do you want to do?
I personally would say, we got an idea, all he's gonna do is transfer it to a different spreadsheet. I don't know if we need to see him again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so, no.
You know, and
Just get it on the spreadsheet like we're used to, and
Yeah, I mean, these two gotta work it out.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. They kind of had to do it before I could get involved, so.
Yeah, and I'll have a few other things, like I said, that I was just looking to
Sure.
put in there, nothing major, so I'll finish getting those cost estimates, plug it in, and then I should be pretty
And
well
I
done with
think I
everything.
figured that out fairly yesterday, and I think your questions are more what I handed you today. And
Yeah, kind
it
of.
was yesterday afternoon's, the end of Ben and I discussion, and today timeline that
Okay, that's fine. I'm good. I got plenty of other ones to work on until then, because next week we'll be busy with a lot of other departments. So
Yeah.
take your time and do it, get it done.
I'll try
Okay?
to, I hadn't mentioned, well, told you, but my wife's due on
Yeah.
Friday too, so I've got that.
So yeah, if you want to hash it out, but at least don't feel like you have to do it
That's why I wanted to
today.
get it in front of you guys, just so, you know, we were afraid it was gonna happen this weekend, and thought, oh no, I got all this left, I'm trying to get solved, and.
Well, that ain't gonna stop her, I'm sure.
No, I almost prefer it for her sake it goes sooner, but, so,
We get to have an office meeting Thursday and visit Courtney.
oh, yeah.
you take your shoes off so you can count toes too, or?
no, I was just thinking the math didn't work.
He wasn't 6 feet apart?
What? Oh.
There's a lot of COVID babies in the courthouse coming along. There's a baby boom in the county employees right now.
Is there?
Too much working from home.
Yeah, I guess.
Benton County's not the only.
Thank God I'm not in that statistic.
I think that's the statistics we're talking about worldwide.
Yeah.
I called Courtney's baby Rona for a while.
Yeah.
Now she's got a name.
Or Rona.
No, we were calling it baby Rona.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be interesting 20 or 30 years down the road to see how there's a population spike or something.
To adjourn, right?
A lot of alcohol sales in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you have
I
any
would say so.
questions, I just,
We have no public here, so we have a motion to,
Action items.
Are there
on it.
any other reports?
I had conservation last night,
Yeah.
long meeting.
Boring, or what?
It was a long meeting, but not much,
Not much to report on?
not really,
Okay.
nothing exciting,
Just one.
not yet.
Okay. Well, then I'd second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.